Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 342. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Johnny V.
Hi. How are you doing today, Terry?
Dreary, wet, not too chilly Milwaukee location here.
It ain't so bad.
I've been in better places, like Florida.
Oh, excuse me. I'm going to Florida.
Come here for the rain. Welcome in, everyone. We are going to have a little Dana Vici check in and catch up with us here tonight for a little while, and then we are going to be joined, spoiler alert, by our Throw Down the Mountain number 9 FPO champion, one Sarah Hokom. So she's going to be in on the action tonight. We're going to catch up with her. We'll talk a little bit about what happened over in Texas, and I may just hang back because I don't know much, but we're going to have to see what all went down. Silver Series event taking place in Texas this weekend. I'm sure Dana will have some of those insights. I think he was calling some of those shots. Johnny was pressing some of those buttons. But I personally consumed very little to almost nothing as I had the pleasure of being in Florida, and I can only wrap my head around one event at a time, apparently. So great time there, and I'm sure there was a great time taking place in Belton.
I'm sure there was. As you know, I don't get a chance to watch much of the coverage, but I saw a pretty good battle from what I did see.
All right. Kendall's on the board saying, sounds like John's audio is coming through Terry's mic. Is there a mic issue here tonight, Johnny? You got to click on a button. Were you playing with the buttons earlier when you were testing something else for this weekend, possibly?
Yeah, actually, hold on.
Oh, well,
that might be a little bit better. Terry's audio was gained up to 100% instead of at about 60, 65 where it should be. So
you want me to talk quieter?
Yeah, there is always a little bit of bleed back and forth just because the nature of how close we are. But yes, that Terry's audio was picking up a lot of more than it should have been. Thank you for noticing that. I really appreciate that.
You know, when I'm coming in hot, usually other people are the first to tell me. So thank you very much on that. And it's funny because now I'm not hearing myself as much as I was a few moments ago. But
is all that good or bad?
I don't know. There's so many voices running around in my head. I'm not sure which ones to listen to. But I think without further ado, we could probably get right to the action and check in with our boy Dynamite. How's that sound?
I guess. I mean, if everybody wants to, should we take a poll? Dana got a lot of airtime already this week. I don't know if we want to give him any more.
I guess we have to.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, Dana.
T-Dog, good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Coming in from our Pottery Barn studio, satellite studio. I like it. Looking good.
Something like that.
Straight out of Woodfield Mall. Dynamite Vici.
How you doing?
Doing good. I was on Smashbox last week, chirping on the Disc Golf Network Sunday. Now here Tuesday. It's a good week, man.
Well, we are glad to have you, and you probably heard me saying a few moments ago, I genuinely was deprived of keeping up with all of the Silver Series action over in Belton this weekend. Obviously, a jam-packed, star-studded event with so many of our touring players, and just my attention was elsewhere with the commitment that I had over at Throw Down the Mountain, which was also incredible. But I'm looking forward to getting a few updates. Of course, I got one or two of the major cliff notes, but I'm looking forward to getting the updates from you as to what we saw this weekend.
You didn't talk enough about Belton? Well, Belton went on. You have to come on our show and talk more about it, Dana.
Well, it's going to be a lot easier tonight because, one, I don't have Johnny V in my ear chirping, yelling at me the whole time. Don't do this, Dana. Do that. Yelling at Gio, yelling at the camera guys, yelling at Mo. I don't know how Terry. I don't know how everyone puts up with him.
I've been deaf in one ear since childhood, and I think I sometimes I might be blessed by that. I only have to hear half of it.
Yeah, because you could put Johnny V's, when you're doing the broadcast, you can put him in that bad ear of yours and be gravy. I wish Well, I'm not going to say I wish
Yeah. Wishing that you had a bad ear.
Oh, Dana,
No,
you
no,
could
no,
barely
that was-
hear me. My microphone is way on the other side of the room. You were hearing Mo in your ear most of the night or most of the day.
So without getting too far in the weeds, Dana, kind of just break down, and some people maybe saw or heard a little bit of this from like a Christine Jennings, who I know on her Instagram stories kind of talked about her experience. She glossed over it, but sitting in a booth, what is it like for you? How does that feel, and what were some of the things you did experience?
Yeah, I mean, it was it was a little nerve-wracking and intense, especially at the beginning, because got the voices in the ears. So trying to get my feet under me, or my voice under me, so to speak, and hearing these guys talk. There's a monitor with one big monitor with 4 different inputs, so different cameras, commercials queued up, other things. Got UDisc, got my notes, got my laptop. I've got all these different things that I'm trying to juggle, and then all the while trying to not end up going viral by saying something stupid. But it was. I'd say the beginning of the show, or the broadcast, it was kind of a slow start for me, and I may have been talking a little bit lower, and maybe I went back to my old days of wandering around the fairways with you, where we've got to be quiet so the players don't hear us and get upset, and all that. But it took a little bit for me to kind of loosen up, but I feel like I did kind of find a rhythm, so to speak, and for the most part, it wasn't perfect if I was grading myself, but I feel like I did an adequate job, and only a few times maybe repeated phrases, or kind of continued on when I maybe should have, when I didn't really have anything to say. But I think that was kind of few and far between. But it was my first time in the booth doing it, and then first time working with Charlie from All to World. Real pleasure. Super nice guy, just a pro. Really good. Stepped up and did what he needed to do, and led the show, set me up for success. So a lot of my success really I can attribute to him for doing a good job leading and leading me and showing me where to go.
Yeah, Charlie was great, and I know I reached out to you afterwards, and I said I thought you did a really good job. I even turned to Mo at one point, and I said, Dana's killing it. Like, I expected you to be good. I was a little disappointed you were that good, because it gives me less to get to harp on about you. But honestly, I thought you did a fantastic job. Christine Jennings as well. I thought she did a good job. It took her a little slow start, I think, as well. Jumping in on some of those FPO updates is tough in the middle of, and especially when you're not used to it. Val makes it sound easy because she's done it for a year and a half or 2 years. So I thought Christine started a little slow, but once she got in front of the camera, even though nobody saw, and she was kind of in your seat, I thought she picked right up, and it was both of you guys were good. And you're right, Charlie drove a really good ship, so I was very happy with the general quality of the broadcast.
Well, good.
Yeah, and then,
good.
Of course, we were rewarded with a heck of a battle on the MPO side. But I would like to start out with the women here.
Okay.
Also, another great battle, but this one was a little bit of a different story. There was a number of players in contention going into the final round. We saw Katrina Allen have a poor round one, shooting a 66, 944 rated. I believe the leader was Valerie. I'm not going to say her last name because even though I heard Charlie say it a number of times, and you guys, I'll just butcher it. But Valerie
Mandahano?
Yes. Mandahano. But yeah, so Valerie had the lead after the first round, but then round two comes along, and they kind of Valerie and Katrina kind of flip-flop, but Katrina went off. she shot a 54, which was 1028 rated, had a incredibly strong round. We also saw a good round out of Missy Gannon. Heather Young was consistent, popping off a couple 63s. So a few players in the mix going into the final round. And then it was a battle. Heather Young ended up taking the lead from Katrina Allen. Katrina had a few struggles here and there, and it looked like Heather was on her way to her first flagship victory, but it just ended up not being in the cards for her. Had what happened there on it was
18
problems arose on 17. She had her upshot rolled down the hill, and then 18. What exactly happened, Johnny? Do you recall?
If I remember correctly, and obviously I didn't get a chance to watch too much of it, but that hole sets up very well for a lefty in general, and so I was excited. And she looked like, what the term we use, sawed it off. She looked like she just kind of had an early release. She ended up low, off to the right. She still had a chance because she was so far right where she wasn't out of bounds, but she was to the right of those trees. So she still could have got up and down in 3. It was a good pump to get up there, not what she is known for. And on top of that, you have to beware of the OB. We saw that with the MPO where Paul was trying to make a run, and he kind of went to the right across the sidewalk and went OB, and she came up short. It looked closer. I know when we first called it, it looked like she was at the 30-foot mark, but once we got up there, cameras, they lie, and she was closer to the circle 2 mark instead of circle 1, and so she just came up short on her 60-footer, ended up taking the 4, and Kat put in for a relatively easy 3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed about that was I almost thought Kat got iced because we saw Missy Gannon kind of putt back and forth a little bit there, and we had a few other players, and so Katrina was sitting there with her, what was it, probably 12
to 15.
12 to 15 footer, and she had to watch a lot of putts and a lot of action and just sit there and sweat over it. And I was thinking, I said, oh, this not what Katrina wants to see leading up to this final putt, but she endured and dug deep and made the putt and popped the arms up. It was nice to see. It was a good win for her. She's probably I'd say going into 18, and then she's probably a little surprised, honestly, with how Heather was playing. It sets up really well for a lefty, but we're definitely going to see Heather in the winner's circle at some point. And I think a month or so ago when you guys were asking about the women, I think I estimated that she'd have a really high average finish at the end of the year. And I still believe so. Probably not as good as I had predicted, but nonetheless, she is going to win. Could be this weekend in Texas. We'll see what she does in the woods at Texas State's, but it was a heck of a battle. So Katrina won. Heather Young finished in second. Heather's final round, even with the bogey to finish, was a 58,006 rated. Missy Gannon finished in third. Lisa Fakis, Valerie Kona finished in fourth. Kona had some struggles in there, but dug deep and hung on. And then then we got to talk about that MPO battle, and it was a good one. One for probably in a long line of Ricky Paul battles. One of the better ones. They were just both on a heater, just playing so good. And Paul picked a few strokes up on Rick early to add on to his one throw lead that he had going into the final round. And at this point, no one was close. Calvin started the round, I think, 6 behind Ricky, 7 behind Paul. So there was a chance, if they faltered. But Paul and Ricky, they really didn't falter. Rick did miss a relatively short putt on the front, and it almost looked deflating. He, I don't know, it seemed like it didn't have that Ricky pop that we see come out of his putts, and it was 20-footer and kind of just doinked it. But from there, he was darn near perfect, and ultimately shot a 16 under, tying Calvin's course record from the day before, and calmer winds. So Ricky did it in tougher wind conditions, but he ended up overtaking Paul when Paul had a couple mishaps on the putting green, uncharacteristic misses for Paul, especially in pressure situations, and it comes as a shock because we've just grown so accustomed to Paul Macbeth just burying the competition, and especially Ricky, stepping up and elevating his game, and he was still playing tremendous disc golf, and I think he averaged 1070 on the weekend, and that final round was around 1070. So it wasn't like he was playing bad, but he just didn't put it in the basket there in the clutch moments, and it did seem like on hole 18 he got a bad roll. Paul really crunched on his forehand, got some nice flex, a good flight, and it looked like he darn near rolled up to the circle. We couldn't quite tell from the camera angle, but then we cut over to the tee and got word that it did roll out of bounds. So Paul hit his circle's edge putt, and Ricky pitched up to the bucket and tapped in for the victory. So just a heck of a battle from two of the sport's greatest. Definitely not their first time, won't be their last time. And Ricky just had it going on Sunday, and I think almost popped off. It's pretty close to an 1100 rated round. So
it was like 1096 or something, I think I saw.
Yeah, 1096. And, going into the weekend, I was watching the scores closely, and, knew that we had the big dogs at this Silver Series event. And was excited that, coming into Sunday, it was a Ricky Paul battle, and that I got to call it and, put my touches on it. So a lot of fun, super thankful for the opportunity. Thanks, Terry and Mo and Johnny, rest of the Pro Tour team. Appreciate the opportunity to hop in and call them, and just hope that I did it justice. And I'm looking forward to building on this past Sunday for next time around, which I think is on a Saturday, Terry. The Vintage Open coming up here,
unless something gets moved. maybe not. Okay. So Dana, awesome to hear that you had such a good experience. I am saddened in one sense that I couldn't be here to call those shots with you. Of course, huge shout out to Charlie for being able to make that happen and come and steer the ship, as Johnny had said. With my commitment to going to Throwdown, I've been there for so many years, and it's become a kind of a staple on my tour. And big shout out to Sun King and Mike Barnett and everything that those guys do. It was a commitment that I already had in place, and I'm also very honored to be able to follow through on that one. But a few of the things that stand out to me as we just heard your recap, I think about how mad are you when you average. For a 3-day weekend, you average 1074 golf and you lose by 2. Like, that does not seem right in the world of disc golf. You average 1074 golf and you still lose the tournament by 2 strokes. So that, of course, is just the biggest compliment, really, to Ricky for the performance that he put on. And then I also, we lament on this Ricky Paul battle. They were clearly in another class. I mean, not only did they perform well, but I mean, they just left everyone else in the dust. When, again, you're a 3-day weekend of golf, and third place is 11 strokes off a second and 13 off a first. It just shows just how much off to the races, and that they were on their own track in their own race, doing their own thing at that point. They were following some other different lead car or pace car or something. The fact that they were that far out ahead of everyone else. Pretty incredible stuff for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the players are so good these days, not just the select few. So I mean, to distance like they did is pretty insane. And Calvin, in his defense, round one was an outlier type of round for him. He shot a 58, which was 1,008 rated, but then he followed it up with a 47, 1087, so 1,600 second round. And it didn't seem like Calvin was having the best final round, but it was still a great round, and it was still good enough for him to hold off and hang into solo third place. But there's a bunch of other great rounds, and I'm sorry that I don't know how to stop that from dinging.
It's your easy bake oven. It's okay. I know that you and the girls have been up with your sprinkles. Easy bake oven time. I recognize the sound.
I don't know how. Like, my phone connects to my computer, and then I don't know. But anyways, deal with it. I'm popular. No, I'm just kidding. It's one group text. But a lot of other
just your
great
dad
rounds out there, and I've got to give a shout out to Terry Roethlisberger from Minnesota. He's out on tour this year. He's in an RV, but he had a great weekend. Went 10:25, 10:45, 10:55. So he got stronger as the weekend went on. Tied for fourth with the great lefty Nathan Queen. Which, by the way, I mean, are we speaking of lefties? Is Nathan Queen, has he taken over as the top lefty in the disc golf world?
I think we'll have to kind of keep an eye out this weekend, because we got Chris Clemens, and he's
Clemens is no slouch.
Yeah, I think they're pretty much neck and neck at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I know Clemens has been hovering around that 10:30 mark. I can't quite recall where he is, but yeah, great shooting by both those guys. Joel Freeman, good to see him back out on tour. No surprise to see him up in the top 10, kind of picking up where he left off back in 2019. Didn't see a whole lot of him last year. He tied for sixth with Casey White, who had that great opening round. Gavin Rathbun, Chris Dickerson, Paul Ulibarri, Alden Harris, and Alex Russell. Alex was on. We got to watch him on the lead card. He also didn't have his best stuff that final round, but had played great golf up to that point and was able to hang on in that top 10, which is getting so crowded and harder to do every weekend.
I was just going to say exactly that. You used to all but be able to pick your top 10s almost week in and week out with a couple outliers, and now it's anybody's game. Nico said that last week, and we continue to see just how competitive it is. And then you go into a few of these courses, and sometimes you can almost even throw that out the window when you see that if you're off your line by a matter of inches or a few feet here and there, that could drop you 10 or 20 spots real quick and turn some of those birdies into bogeys in the woods like a beast, or I think what we're going to see this upcoming weekend from what I've heard. So, and real quick, I will say someone had messaged, and I haven't fully consumed all this, so I'm going to partially read it online, but something to the effect of, is this the highest finish in MPO and FPO for lefties? Talking about Nathan Queen tying for fourth, while Heather Young finished in second, and so on and so forth. So a pair of lefties. I don't have those kind of math or stats to run. That sounds like a UDisc agenda, but that would be kind of an interesting assessment, I guess, to make for. Do we see any kind of favoritism, or not favoritism? Do we see any, call it an advantage or a tendency by lefties at any given courses?
Well, I mean, to put it in perspective, and I know it was just a joke, so nobody take any offense to it. But Katrina actually made a comment for her during her victory speech, saying, just kind of making a joke about Heather Young, who's a teammate of hers, saying, "I didn't realize how lefty friendly this course was." Oh, and again, no shade.
I don't know.
Yeah, those two who seem to be,
I think she's gonna hide her in an escape room somewhere and just leave her behind.
just cat escapes, but then just leaves. Yep.
Behind. I don't know. I'm calling it.
Yeah. So I mean, even Cat noticed that the course, I won't say favored a lefty, but was more lefty friendly than we've probably seen at other courses on the tour. So
well, good.
It's yeah. I mean, so maybe there is something to it.
Oh, or they just had good weekends. I mean, there's always that too. So,
yeah, I mean,
what percentage of the world is left-handed? Is it 5%?
5, yeah, something like that.
Their day will come.
Not too interested in that. What I am interested in is, so I got this nice painting by Edith.
I love it.
She's the artist like her mother, but we're going to move to New Orleans. No, not my family, but the 2021 Pot of Gold. It's always a huge event. It's a B tier. And we saw some big dogs that hop over from Texas, and then they're probably back in Texas already. Two close friends, Matty O, Greg Barsby, went over to duke it out at the Pot of Gold. Ended up Matty O won. I believe he's won this event a number of times, but won it by a couple throws over Barsby. Picked up a cool $1,200, so not bad for a B tier. Esther Schultz won quite handily in the FPO division over Jennifer Durr. And so congratulations to all of those winners. And I always like to see that event, and I also like to show off my daughter's artwork. So that's really why I wanted to talk about it. But Terry, I know you were at Throwdown the Mountain. Do you and Sarah's coming on, so we can hold off on that.
Yeah, I'll give the.
I have a question, Dana. Seeing as how you brought up this event,
Mm-hmm.
how many Schultz played in this event? Without looking, do you know?
How many Schultz? There had a minimum of 3 is my guess.
Oh,
but
please.
Most likely,
More like 3 in each division.
9. 9 Schultz played in this event.
That has to be a record.
I know. I just happened to think about, like, well, it's like right in their backyard. I know they're all players. I wanted to take a look.
Yeah.
So you had Thunder and Silas in the open, Esther and Chloe, I'm going to go with Chloe, in the open women. In advanced, Simeon.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to scroll down. Intermediate, Ryan. Intermediate women was the entire field was Cedar, Lily, and Mercy. 9. Congratulations, Schultz. Honestly, standing ovation.
Yes.
Can you imagine that household when events registrations open up?
They're all fighting for the Yeah. I got in. No, you.
Yeah, little do we know there's 12 Schultz in the family. 3 of them didn't get in.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. So 265 players, 9 of them Schultz.
That is awesome. Thank you for bringing that up, Johnny. I didn't look close enough to count the Schultzes. I wonder what their record is at an event. Like, this has got to be it. For most Schultzes in one event.
Yeah, just literally missing Barry.
Yeah. Incredible. I'm sorry, you said 265 total players?
265 players, 9 of them Schultz.
Okay, so 3.4% of the entire 265 person field came from one address.
I bet you
okay, they don't all share the same address.
I bet you that helps out with some CTPs.
Yeah.
Like, just, you beat out your
you got to, their percentages go up. Again, big shout out to all of them. And all of them made posts on Instagram and Facebook that day. I'm just kidding. Cool to see, though. Yeah, Dana, you're right. We will we'll let you go here in a moment, but we will quickly touch on then some MPO coverage that we saw over at the Throwdown the Mountain, or MPO results and whatnot, and then also our special super feature guest in Sarah Hokom tonight, who had taken down the FPO side. And we'll dig into a few of those details, but one of them that jumps off immediately being Justin Binell, who you knew from many, many years ago. I've known, Johnny's known forever, but a lot of Florida people didn't.
Hell of a bowler, too.
And he shows up, takes care of some business, and meanwhile everyone's like, huh? Who? Where? Huh? So I guess that's what happens when you have like 12 years. I think I saw him post on Facebook today, 12 years between A-tier wins in the open division. That might be some form of a record in itself, but it just phenomenal play by Justin Binell this weekend. Of course, we've got all that action. We've got other surprises that will be hidden within that coverage that I'm going to start releasing tomorrow. And then in addition to Sarah's win, also on the FPO side, we saw things like Ellen Widboom, who finished second, shoot her first 1,000 rated round, which is, I think we all know what that felt like or where we were when we shot our first 1,000 rated round. So huge shout out to Ellen. And honestly, I said right before the show, Dana, Ellen won Idlewild last year and didn't shoot a 1,000 rated round. That's kind of surprising because she did play so well there. So she must have been pretty darn close at the time. But so, yeah, a lot of great stuff, obviously, coming out of Brooksville, as you would expect.
Yeah.
Anything else before we let you go, Dana?
Yeah, I do want to mention the one Shasta Chris got himself a victory, I believe, in the age protected at Belton. There was a big playoff. He ended up victorious. And also we had a big A tier out in California, the St. Patrick's Classic, which is a long-standing event. But this was the pro weekend. Drew Gibson just shredded, played really good on his home turf, won by 7 throws over Clint Calvin, who's had a tremendous start to the year. Clint Calvin now 1031 rated, but Drew Gibson 1039 rated. Really impressive stuff out of him. Sias Elmore finished in 3rd, Mike Sale 4th, and a bunch of other 1,000 rated Californians that I've never heard of. Finishing up there in the top 10. I always love seeing the big California events and learning some of those names of their 1,000 rated players. Similar to Texas, there's always new players popping up and coming up that are 1,000 rated. On the FPO side, 14 total players. Owen Scoggins wins for. Did she win last weekend, or what? No,
last weekend was Waco, so she finished in second.
Yeah, okay, she had the great final. She had the great.
Yes.
All right, so Owen was able to win this weekend over our good friend and former regular Smashy Zoe Andike. Camille Square probably butchered that. Finished in 3rd place, and a name I haven't seen in a while. Christy King finished in 4th. So. Good stuff out there in California. 14 total FPO players, and then shout out to my friend Ray Johnson for shredding on the Pro Master side of things. But a lot of events this last weekend. A lot of great players taking wins, and boy, we're back at it Friday in Texas.
Nonstop, just like the Nonstop Disc Golf Tour. 2005, 3, 6, whenever that was. All right, Dana, you got to be old like we are to get that reference. But thank you for joining us. Thanks for stepping in this weekend. We're looking forward to, of course,
more Dynamite,
as the board has said. Very much appreciated and like the efforts you put forward this weekend. And your beard looked glorious on Disc Golf Network, Johnny Bigfoot says.
Thank you.
I mean,
I put some oil in it Sunday. Make sure it had a nice sheen to it.
My favorite post from Reddit was a picture of the guy from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the gold, silver and gold, and saying just with the mustache and the red beard, comparing him to you, and it brought a smile to my face. So well done this weekend.
Hopefully the gang over at Reddit treated me all right, but
I didn't see a bad comment, and that says a lot.
Wow. I better get out there. I gotta go. I gotta go to Reddit.
Get your burner account going.
Good idea. All right, Dynamite. We appreciate it. We love you, buddy, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Dynamite, Dana Vici, stepping in this weekend and calling some shots. Awesome to hear. Sounds like everything went pretty well overall, and I'm gonna have to go back and consume some of this sweet battle or the battles plural that apparently went down. I remember hearing a little bit about Calvin's second round, and then hearing, well, he shot 16, but he's not in the lead or something. And I was just like, what? What's going on? And then I heard that, Ricky and Paul were off on another level. And I would have said it, well, Dana was here a moment ago. Also, I don't know if I have to issue a kudos, but I found it gracious that Paul Macbeth made a post, and it had a picture of him and then also Ricky, and it said something to the effect of another great battle or another chapter in the battles between us. I don't know. We need fans, and we play better with fans. Congrats.
And Ricky does. I think I'll say.
Well, I'm guessing they both do.
I think
so
they
I believe
both
that.
do. But I'll say this: like, there were fans there this weekend. There were a few. They were roped off, but in a vacuum, Ricky Paul with fans. I think Ricky feeds on the fans a little more than Paul does.
Okay.
Like, it just feels like Ricky gets that energy.
So Paul shouldn't want
energy.
Ricky the fans to come back, apparently.
No, everybody wants fans, but I'm just saying, like, and maybe Paul does and he doesn't show it as much, but I feel like Ricky really has that emotion that drives him with the fans. So, I mean, I heard Charlie and Dana talking to Paul before the round, and they were talking about the Ricky Paul battles and saying things like, these battles aren't just for the weekend. These are establishing legacies.
Yeah.
Every time you play, like whether you win by 2 or 20, it's like I said, it's another chapter. It's not the book, but it's just another thing that people can look back on and go like, yeah, but Ricky got him at Belton, when Paul missed that 12 or 20 footer and blah, blah, blah. It's just another part of the story between the two of them. And it's exciting to see. I was glad we had a great showing at Belton, especially for the first Silver Series of the year. And on our side, kind of a weird mishmash of the studio being in one place and us in another, but it's all still in Milwaukee. And it was just kind of a little bit of a cluster early in the weekend, but we got it worked out. And overall, what a great weekend to watch disc golf.
All right. Well, I have reached out also to Sarah Hokom, and as soon as she's available and ready to go here in a few moments via Skype, we will welcome her in so we can get the rundown of what took place over on that ginormous mountain that we find in Florida, in Brooksville. Just epic. Epic size, proportion, everything else. We'll get some of those updates.
It helps
from
if
her.
I have Skype open.
Oh, yeah, you should probably do that.
It definitely helps.
So
to have Skype
I will
open,
re-message her.
No, I got her.
Okay,
She's on
okay.
now. I had forgotten to
open the program we need to communicate her with.
Open the program we need to communicate with Sarah Hokom. But I got it. Hey, at some point, everybody gets on.
342 episodes later, Johnny is still working on it.
Yeah, maybe 343. That's all I need. I need 343, and then I got it.
That's exactly what it is. Well, I think she looks pretty ready. She probably can't hear us yet, but she looks ready. And so without further ado, coming in from our Disc Baron Digital Green Room, we welcome our 2012 World Champion, Throw Down the Mountain 9 champion, Sarah Hokom.
Woo.
Hi.
Hey. How you doing?
Hear me?
We can hear you.
Very much so. Yes.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Man, I'm just enjoying this Texas weather. Nice and sunny today, not a 60% humidity.
So
We'll see how it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's start there because you, like me, got a few looks or second guesses along with like a Raven Newsom and a couple others where so much of the tour was, of course, in Waco. Then we're going to Belton, and then this weekend, of course, going to be at Texas State's. But you and me and a couple others all found ourselves still in Florida. What kind of prompted how your schedule and your tour went for you?
Well, I've been trying to get to this tournament for a little while because I've heard about this course, and I've heard like that it was really fun, lots of mountain elevation change, which I didn't realize there was mountains in Florida. And I told a couple people of that on the plane flight, and they gave me a really funny look. But But they're not like the mountains,
Eh,
but it's big elevation, which
yeah, it's
really
a
cool
quarry.
too, because it's like, what's that?
I'm sorry. I was just saying it's technically an old quarry, right? And so it's been partially dug out and it's been developed and attempted to be developed for different things throughout the years. But to everyone else in the country, it's like a hill. Is that fair?
Yeah. But the elevation for disc golf is perfect. You get it like, and actually it's very aptly named as throw down the mountain. I was considering the tee shots, and like, you never throw up the mountain. Like, you walk up the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
You throw your approach shots up the mountain, but you throw like almost all your tee shots down the mountain. So that's really fun.
Yeah,
I feel like almost all mountain courses you throw up the mountain almost as much as you throw down, and we all like throwing down the mountain better.
Oh,
I'll walk
feel
up
like
mountains all day.
I feel like every mountain course I've played, it's about 16 to 15 holes up the mountain, and then it's the epic throw down at the 17 or 18, where it's like, cool, we have a 3,000-foot hole, but it plays about 250, so throw your putter from the top of the mountain all the way down on hole 18. I swear it's every mountain course I've ever played feels that way to me, so I'm glad that this one is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's broken up there's more prolonged satisfaction is a good way to put it, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Also, no shortage of walking. The MPO course was 10,000 feet. The FPO course was still 8 and change, something like that.
Yeah, my steps, I was like 15,000 steps a day out there.
Yeah,
consistently.
And then on top of that, as we were alluding to, those weren't flat steps. That wasn't an easy walk in the park. Now, I saw a few people posting, and kind of just for the geography of all of this and topography, people had talked about whether or not this was or is a cart-friendly course. And I don't know why, but I've got a big mouth. And when somebody had asked that on the page a few weeks earlier, they were talking about traveling to it. And I said, I don't use a cart, so let me put that disclaimer out there. But I can't imagine it would be fun to bring this cart in all that terrain. So you're the best expert in the world on this because you usually use a cart. Now you've been there without one. Give everyone the lowdown for next year. Should they bring their cart?
I would not recommend bringing your cart if you're the one that's going to be wrangling it.
Ah. Okay.
I think if you have a caddy, like, you can get the cart through the course, but I wouldn't want to be the one like frustratingly moving it through those little pathways. And then, I mean, some of the like, you have to kind of billy goat it up a couple spots. So you probably have to take the long way around. I think it's like, I mean, honestly, during a practice round, we were there like first thing in the morning, and there was 7 dudes with carts in front of us. So it can be done. And but for me, I didn't want to fly with my cart, and you're going straight up and down these hills, and like the pathways aren't very wide either. So you just have to have a lot of patience, and you're probably going to be doing a lot of work with your legs if you have a cart. But I mean, honestly, I do still like having a cart even when it's like that, because it's my legs that are doing the work and not my back, versus carrying a bag. It's not my arms and my back doing the work. It is my legs. It is harder work going up and down those hills for sure, but it does save my back still, even on mountain courses. Like, I use my cart at toboggan, even though it's super hilly, and it is a little bit of, it's a workout to get it up the hills, but it's worth it for me.
I'd feel remiss to say, what kind of cart do you have?
I have the LG backpack cart.
Okay.
All right. Well, now that we got
Zuka, for all your support.
So, first impressions of the course. I mean, we talked about the workout, the terrain, but when you got there, was it kind of how people described it? Did you consume any footage ahead of time or anything? But what were kind of some of your impressions once you got to the property?
I just thought it was gorgeous. This huge trees. I don't know what, I think they might be oak trees, live oaks maybe. They're huge oak trees with Spanish moss draping from them. There's huge piles of sawgrass everywhere. So for me, the vegetation was really unique and really beautiful. And then you walk right out to hole 1 and you can just look off this cliff and you see 18's green. It's just really beautiful.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything. And then this property, the other roughly 11 months out of the year, is used essentially as like a cow grazing pasture of sorts, or of a property. I don't know if there's other animals besides just cows there, but that's what it typically is used for. And we'd be remiss without saying, for the 100th time, this is not a permanent course. This is put in for essentially a month, usually, out of the year. All thanks to Sun King, all thanks to all of the countless people that go out there, including my host and Dwayne Reeder, but him and the entire crew that are sawing and trimming and cutting and mowing and moving rocks and sticks to make this a private, temporary facility. I guess you got to think all of that work is worth the payoff for what you saw this weekend.
Yes, definitely. And I would really like to see that property purchased and turned into a disc golf resort.
Okay.
So if anybody's looking to invest, contact Mike Barnett. Go in as partners. He'll manage it for you. You just get to collect all the big bucks later.
Yes. There's talks of
help. The tee pads are not ideal, and we did play it in the probably the best conditions. We didn't have a lot of moisture. That course could be impossible to navigate in rain. Like, yeah, you would just slide down the hill to get down them, and like crawl up the hills.
There's a few spots where
we really good conditions.
I was just going to say there's a few spots where there's some it can, because of the pathways that have been worn throughout the years, it gets right to the clay right away. And so, yes, if it gets wet or rainy out there, things can get pretty slick and a little bit more treacherous. But like you said, almost perfect conditions. I guess maybe a little chilly if you're a Florida person, but we had temps in the 60s and little to no precipitation and not too bad on humidity all weekend. Is that a good summary?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was a little chilly. I would have liked to have worn, not worn pants the whole time. I only brought 2 pairs, and I only brought those because of the sawgrass. I thought it might be a problem. I was told that you go in the sawgrass, it'll cut you up. So I brought pants for that, but was hoping not to wear them. And I was never really in the sawgrass, so I didn't really need them for that. But it was supposed to be like 80 degrees when I looked at the weather to pack. So.
Well, it turned out to be nice. Let's get to the action. We saw 12 women in the FPO field. Does that sound right? Yep, 12 women.
Yeah, probably could have more if they could have given us more spots.
Yeah.
However,
I think that's always like that continues, and maybe we can tangent to that in a moment, but that continues to be a question of, and I'm in the same boat with a B tier I'm running, is how many spots do you allocate, and then at a certain point you have to then give away those spots if they're not going to be filled, but always finding that balance. And that could be said of almost every division, because I'm now getting pressure from MP40s and MP50s and so on and so forth as to like allocating spots. But anyway, that's another story. 12 women, and then one of the other favorites for the event would have to be the local, I'll use in air quotes, Ellen Widboom. Did you guys talk a little bit, knowing that she lives near there, but it's kind of her home course, but kind of not? Like, what were some of your prep work and your homework before getting there?
I found out that she lived 2 miles from there sometime during the second round.
Oh, okay. So not much recon.
I knew she was from Florida and that she typically plays a lot of events in Florida, but that's about it. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, people told me it's wooded with elevation, and I was like, let's go.
Did you find that you were playing? Did you have to prep any differently than any other event, I guess is the question. I mean, is there anything out of the ordinary for that event for you?
Just the fact that I had to kind of pick and choose the discs I was going to bring, and
Mm.
I didn't carry as many in practice that I would have liked. I usually carry twice as many as I had with me in practice, so I could just test the lines a few different ways. So that was different. And then, flying in and not having all my stuff with me is kind of different for me. I don't really like that.
I was just gonna say, is that nerve wracking? You've been someone that's essentially lived, in a traveling home for the last 7, 8, 10, 12 years. Like, what's that like to actually fly? And then are you like, do you have a little anxiety about like, oh my gosh, I don't have all my stuff, at my disposal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't probably a tiny bit, but I mean, I'll just adapt. Whatever I got to do. There's not much you can, not much can shake me at this point. But I do prefer all my stuff, and I do like to have all my extra discs and all that. But it's fine. Worked out.
Yeah, clearly. So let's talk a little specifics. Opening round. We saw you on a pretty stout card. I think we had the 3 or 4 of the top rated women were all together on that opening round. How did it go for you?
It was just pretty solid, honestly. I got a few birdies I didn't know I could get. I only got 2 rounds in of practice because of that super windy day on Thursday, where we weren't supposed to be getting much wind on the course, and we had like 30-mile-an-hour winds on Thursday, so I didn't go out to the course, and the course was so packed full of all these people playing it just to get to play it because it's only open every once in a while. So I didn't practice Thursday, so I did want another round in, but I don't really regret it at this point. So I was a little bit unsure on some of the lines, and I was just kind of taking some more notes as I was playing the first round. And I came out throwing like 6 backhands out of 18 off the tee. Misexecuted a couple of them, but they didn't really cost me any strokes. Got to 18, and we had a massive headwind coming down that hill. And when my turn came up, the headwind kind of slowed down just a tiny bit, and I threw my photon down there, and then had a look at the green, which I had been wondering if I was going to go for the green or not for a couple of days now, because it's a very intimidating shot. It's like 100 feet in the air, like just straight up a cliff. And so anyway, I had this headwind was coming at me this whole time, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to pitch and then throw up, get a little bit closer and throw up to the green. And then it switched to a tailwind. So I just like, okay, let's go before it changes. And I made it up there and actually got that birdie, which was a huge accomplishment because I didn't really get that in practice for me. And I came out with almost 1,000 rated round to start, and still knew I had things I could do better.
Well, and that's where I was going in some regard. Quite modest of you, as you say, you just feel like you had a solid round. It was 60, which I think is 5 or 6 under par, but then most important, well, maybe not most importantly, rated 998 and gave you a 5-stroke cushion over Ellen. So sorry, it was a 4 under par, but it gave you a 5-stroke cushion over Ellen. And you just mentioned you threw roughly 6 backhands off the tee. I saw Ellen throwing a little bit more backhands than I've seen her normally throw in the past. Is there anything when you're comparing or watching other players, when you have someone like Ellen who's predominantly a forehand player? Is there anything you're picking up or not, or are you just always confident in what your shot is and you don't really pay attention to what others are doing?
I'm more of I play my own game plan kind of person.
Yeah.
Ellen and I while we both are kind of throwing both ways now, we don't take the same lines with our sidearm. So she throws a lot of different stuff than I do. And so it is difficult to follow her lines, but I am always really interested when I'm playing with her on whether she chooses a backhand or a sidearm, which shot she finds to be a higher percentage for her, because that's kind of interesting to me as well. And actually, the reason why on the final round I actually changed one of my lines because of what she did in the previous 2.
Okay. I think about your overall performance on the weekend. It's 998, 974, 974. I know those are just ratings numbers, but you averaged essentially 982 golf on the weekend. Does that mean anything to you? I mean, the win is what I know means the most, but do the ratings mean anything to you? Do they validate or invalidate any of your thoughts or feels from the weekend?
It's important to me to shoot consistent golf. So like honestly, I know that the win is very important. It is important, but the fact that I can shoot consistent golf over my rating is honestly probably a little bit more important to me. I mean, that's the stuff that keeps me on the road and keeps me up in the upper tiers of all the tournaments. So if I can shoot consistent golf, I may not win them all, but I'm going to be in the hunt as many as I can.
Do you feel like this weekend there was anything that was particularly clicking or on or dialed? I mean, to shoot consistent golf, of course, you're going to have a misstep or a miscue once in a while, I would guess, although there weren't a lot from you. But overall, do you feel like anything was firing and was really on point for you?
I would say that my putting inside the circle has felt really good over the last month even. So, I mean, since the season started, really, except for a couple of rounds in the wind, I'm still working a couple things out. But in general, I think my putt feels really good, and so that's a lot. It brings you a lot of confidence when you're throwing approach shots and tee shots. You don't have to worry about getting it so close. You can throw a little bit freer, but also the backhand stuff. 6 out of 18 is a lot for me right now, and I really only cost myself, I think, one bogey, and I ended up getting a couple of birdies off my backhand. So I think it was a net win, and having the opportunity to throw that shot in a high pressure situation was good. And then I also did change my shot. The last round, I only threw 4 out of the 6, and I switched my shot to a sidearm on a couple, just for a level of comfort on a hole that could cost me dearly that I had not executed properly the 2 prior rounds. So, let's see, holes 4 and I think it's holes 4 and 5. Those 2 I switched up to a sidearm in the final round that I had been throwing backhand. And like I said, Ellen, hole 4, I watched her throw that up there and get the skip up the hill. And it kind of left me a little pinched in the final round, but I think that was the right play versus trying to throw the backhand up the hill.
Yeah, I was just going to say, especially on a hole like hole 4, which everyone will see on the coverage, that's such a tough birdie to get anyway that I think if you're walking away with a 3, you're probably, going to be content anyway. But it's all about, the positioning you find yourself when you get off the tee. What I want to quickly touch on is one of my favorite highlights of yours for the weekend. And this isn't meant to be an MPO versus FPO comparison in any other way other than just strictly looking at the numbers. I think about how you played hole 18. And in round 1, you said the wind died a little bit. You put yourself down there. You contemplated. You went for it. You get up on top of the green. You make the birdie. On round 1, when you 3'd that, and I look at for instance, the MPO side, the average on the day was 4.63. It averaged 0.63 above par, and you had taken the birdie 3. And then the next day, you go back to that hole. It averaged 4.9 on the day in the MPO field, and you had again 3'd it. And I just think about, not that you need confidence against any of the other players necessarily, but just the confidence in executing such a difficult hole in such a clutch moment at the end of the round to close things out on those first 2 days. Last day, we'll just say you didn't need it as much, but talk about finishing on hole 18 and maybe what that does for your psyche as you're closing out a round and closing out a day, and what when you lay your head down at night, like, I birdied 18 again.
Yeah, I feel really bad for people who don't throw a sidearm on that hole, though, because it is really brutal to carry around the corner with a late flip that doesn't hyzer out into the pond. If you just throw it straight down the hill, you leave a lot more to bite off to get up the hill. So it really does play to a sidearm, and you don't really have to throw one very far. I mean, the disc I'm throwing down that hill, a photon or a trace, really only goes like 300, 320 on flat ground. It doesn't take a long sidearm. It's just maybe an accurate one. And in practice, I had tried to get up that hill several times and missed short, just like inches too, like just barely. So I had really been contemplating it for several days. When I didn't come out on Thursday to practice again, I was thinking, man, I wish I had another shot at 18, because I don't know what I'm going to do when I get up there. I hadn't even practiced I didn't even know there was a drop zone, honestly. And then I hadn't practiced that, and I hadn't practiced the pitch up green area or the shot up the hill from that green area. So I had been thinking about this hole for a couple of days. And when I was in position to go up top and the wind switched, I was stoked, and I was like, all right, let's just see what happens. I got it up there a couple times in practice. So once I got it up there and I had, a look at the putt and made the putt, I was like, well, shoot, I wonder what's going to happen these next few days, because that hole could cost you dearly going into the final round. Like the final shot of the tournament, trying to get it up that hill, you could miss, and you could go OB a bunch of times. And like, it's intimidating. And also, like, Ellen, me and her were battling stroke for stroke for almost every round, like every round up until 18. And I think the first round, I got 4 strokes on her on that one hole. And then the second round, I think I got 2 strokes on her on that one hole. So we're talking 6 out of the 7 strokes I had on her going into that final round were from that hole.
Wow. I did not realize that there was so much separation on that one specific hole with the two of you. I mean, I knew you had went birdie Friday and Saturday, and I didn't realize that Ellen had struggled mightily with that on the first 2 rounds. So that is incredible, and that's almost like a weird pressure to know and to realize, knowing like 18's always looming, and 18 can make or break your tournament. I know we always talk about 17 at USDGC and so on and so forth, but in this case, yeah, I mean, it can truly be a tin cup moment because of the way the rules played this year, where you have to get up on top, and you could just keep throwing your whole bag until you get up there.
Yeah, I mean, but he took a 12 on it, and I watched several people take 8s and 9s and 7s, and it's gnarly hole. And then on the final round, I know she can do it too. She's got the sidearm. In the final round, she finally throws the tee shot where she wants it, and then she's pretty far away. I mean, and I have 5 strokes going into this hole, and I'm not comfortable. And then she throws it in bounds off the tee. She just got a boat. So she just went. We just matched birdies back to back for like 6 holes or something. And we each go birdie, and then we get 2 pars, but on holes that nobody's getting a birdie on. Mm-hmm. And the par is difficult, 12 or 13, 14. And then 15, I finally get one back on her. And then 16, we both birdie. And then 17, she birdies this bonus hole by like flexing left of this thing. And like, I don't even know how the disc got through, but certainly the work she's done out there and all the spotting she did last weekend. And like, her course mojo was in full effect. And then she slams, I'm telling everybody, sorry, spoiler. And then she just slams this putt to get the birdie, so she has the box on the final hole. I was actually stoked she had the box. I was like, let's see what you can do, because if she throws it in bounds, cool. I know what I got to do. If she doesn't, that also takes the pressure off me on the tee shot. But she threw it in, then threw it up there, and she parked it.
Yeah, it was a great battle, and I guess here's what I'll say, as the coverage is going to come out in a couple days, but going out and watching the lead card of FPO on Sunday morning play that course, and to know that a lot of tees were designed specifically for the FPO field, it increased my excitement level probably tenfold. Like I think about there's so much discussion. You've helped lead it and lead the charge and be part of that conversation for many years now about playing golf and what the strategies mean and playing courses that are appropriate to skill levels and the divisions and so on. And to watch the four of you go out and play that specific course with those tees in mind. And now, if we got nitpicky, we could maybe find one or two that might need some slight adjustment, whatever. But I feel like it challenged you guys perfectly. And then it led to great scoring, great just overall, scores and numbers, but then a great battle. And I don't know, maybe I'm just overly excited about it all. I don't know. But how do you feel about that? Am I misguided on any of that?
No, I agree with you 100%. And I had some conversations with Mike Barnett about the course design, and he agreed in a lot of situations that, he's doing it the right way. He's looking at the scoring, he's making adjustments, trying to make the best score separation for the field that's playing the event. I think he did a great job. And he sees, we talked about a couple of the different holes, 14 being one of those, that it's not, nobody's getting it. The pinch point is too far away from the pin.
Okay.
15, I know 13. If I would have thrown a shot properly, I could have got that birdie. No, I don't think anybody got it, but it's gettable. It's just difficult. And then like 4, that's probably the only one, but I think that's a pin placement on 4 and 5, but the 5 I think is gettable. I saw some looks at it, and actually Ellen did get it, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
4, that one just needs that pin placement. They just need to put it back, and I think Mike's the kind of guy that'll look at those stats and make that adjustment back to make the hole better.
Yeah, I totally agree, and just a big hats off again to the whole crew that make that course possible. But then we see a tweak, a minor, or at least a minor tweak, almost every single year we go out there, where Mike and the crew have really thought about making the best course that has the appropriate challenge for the divisions, like I was just saying. And I think that was part of my excitement. That's what kind of led me to the idea, or I should say, to pushing through the idea of being out there for 2 rounds on Sunday, because I was genuinely most excited about the FPO battle, knowing how you guys were going to be able to attack the course, and how the scores would shake out. So that was awesome to see. And then, real quickly, as we touched on earlier, Ellen shoots her first 1,000 rated round. It's not quite enough to catch you, but nonetheless, some great golf out there.
Yeah, she pushed hard. She played great that final. I mean, she played great all weekend, except, and just 18, that whole East. But I really respect course designers and course managers that are not so married to their designs, that they can, look at real data and make adjustments to make it the best that they can make it. More of being a living course, a fluid course, rather than, this particular hole and this is how it always is and this is how it should always be. As the game evolves, I think that it's great to see some course designers being able to evolve with it.
All right, I have a question. This is Ellen Widboom's first 1,000 rated round. Do you remember your first 1,000 rated round? Can you take a guess? I went to the ratings details, and I'm just looking, and I'm just wondering if you happen to remember, or if you can take a wild guess about the year. What year do you think your first 1,000 rated round was?
I'm gonna guess 2011.
Oh, nailed that one. I'll give you a clue. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I would guess Maple Hill.
No.
I guess it would Vibram. I guess
whatever it was called.
Whatever it was called back then. It was a ladies only event.
Oh. 2000. Gosh, there weren't very many of those back then.
No. I don't believe the course exists anymore. It's not open to the public. I think that's a fair statement.
Oh, good.
It's what I think it is.
This is one of my favorite things to throw at pros. Like, do you remember your own history?
Do you remember
I wanted to start a
time?
podcast of just like picking up.
I mean, daisy
a
chains
general
wasn't
whole.
happening then.
No.
No.
No, I'm trying to. I'm trying to think
Magnolia or something.
No. Just tell her.
Okay.
Florida?
Nope. Fly Girls at Flyboy Aviation.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. It was a C
That's
tier.
right. And then Courtney came and beat my score the next round with a bigger over. Like it was like even more over 1,000.
Yeah. You shot 1,005 at a C tier in 2011. I don't have a lot of info about it, but it was at the Fly Girls at Flyboy Aviation ladies only event.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a temp course. It was so short. We could just I could throw approach shots to every hole. It was fun. It was fun though.
Okay, well, let's totally switch gears. Before we do that, anything else you want to touch on or mention or discuss with regard to your experience this weekend before we're going to kind of quiz you a little bit on the upcoming weekend, but is there anything else about this weekend that you wanted to touch on?
I just want to thank Mike and, the team MVP. We had a little Airbnb and got to go see some horseshoe crabs and we went out on the ocean and it was fun. Just Charlie, good pasture, always got my back out there. Met some really cool people. Shout out to Justin Binell. I met Justin way back in the day. I started playing disc golf in St. Louis. So he was the business there. And then he's like, I'm a bowler. I don't need disc golf. And then he went into bass fishing and now he's back. I think it's really cool to see him out there. So congrats to him.
Yeah, huge, super exciting, and I can't wait to put all that together as well, so the world can see just how damn good that guy still is, all these years later, even with some significant time off.
I don't watch a lot of post-production stuff. I might have to watch that to see Justin play because it's been a long time since I've seen him throw a disc.
Yeah, it was a treat for sure. So, all right, so Sarah, we're gonna switch it up just a little bit, and a lot of the world. Okay, maybe not a lot of the world. Me, Johnny, and a lot of our crew, at least, we're not that familiar with what we're going to see this weekend. I think you're just kind of getting introduced to the course and the event this weekend. What have you had a chance to get out there and do all the recon for us so you can report back with what we should know about this upcoming NT this weekend?
Yeah, lines are tight.
Okay. Which you like?
Yeah, which is your
I do.
Your style of golf.
Okay.
A lot of straight shots that are pretty tricky, really, really tidy hallways with a few shapes of, little trees, couple trees impeding in different places that are going to play to a particular shot shape that is not just exactly straight. A little bit of elevation. It's not super distance heavy. A lot of really gettable par fours for the women.
Okay.
We have a slightly different par and a couple different tees and same tees, but couple different baskets, 5 different baskets and 3 different pars, I think.
So tell me how off I am if from your description just now and maybe something that's a little more widely known to the world, how similar or not to Iron Hill in Delaware, the Delaware Disc Golf Challenge? Any similarities? Is that way off? Is that kind of in the neighborhood? Could they be cousins or kissing cousins or weird uncle? I don't know.
How tight the lines are, I would say, especially the front, I think is more like Iron Hill.
Okay.
I think back is a little bit more open. Well, some parts of it are. Definitely doesn't have all the rocks that Iron Hill has.
Okay.
And also there's a lot more par 3s here than at Iron Hill. Iron Hill has only 2 par 3s or so. I don't know. Well, maybe more than that, but seems like it has only 3 or 4 par 3s. And this one has more than that. But yeah, I think this one has more shorter, tighter holes than Iron Hill.
Okay. So then I'd re-ask the question and say, is there another course that you would compare it to that the world might know or recognize. Is there anything else? Any other comparisons?
I mean, anything. It's really sandy too.
Mm.
So that's kind of, it's like sand. It's like sand everywhere and pine needles.
Okay.
Maybe even Jackson.
Oh, WR Jackson.
Okay.
Maybe that. That's what I would say.
I mean, you could tell us it's like Golden Gate Park, and I'd be like, okay, whatever you say, Sarah. We haven't seen it, so that's why I'm looking for.
I got to see it today.
Oh, okay. Did you see the drone flyovers?
No. Our guys were doing some signal testing today, so I got to walk. Well, I virtually walked with Cam, our Cam guy, Cam Varner. He walked the entire course. So I got to see some Kevin Jones. I got to see some Eagle and Joey, a couple players playing the course today. As he was kind of running through the course, we were doing signal testing. So I got to see it basically waist high and a bouncing camera the whole way.
Just how you like to look at cameras.
Exactly. Just kind of getting sick while you watch it. But I did get a chance to see it, and Sarah really does nail it. I mean, it's a, they don't call it piney for nothing, and then it's very sandy. It's more than you would expect.
Design-wise, it almost reminds me of a Hauk design, but I don't know that he did it. It's like got some quick dog legs with then some difficult approaches, but then it also has some long shots with some difficult tee shots with easy approaches. It's a pretty good mix of stuff. I was, as much as I thought I'd be super comfortable out there in the woods, a lot of the lines are tricky. So I'm going to be playing away from the green sometimes to putt back at it, to try to get down the fairway.
Okay, and that was going to be my follow-up, is knowing it's newer for you and for probably quite a few players that are out there, what will be your prep work over the next 30-some hours or so, over the next day or two? What else will you do to go prep?
Just reps on the course.
Okay.
And then putting. Reps on the course. Yeah, I mean, I may go in a field and just double check the lines on a few of my drivers, make sure that they are what I think they are. Over time, they just beat in, and then sometimes it's like, wait, did I throw that one 50 more times than the other one in the last 2 weeks? Oh, that's why it's flippy. Check.
Okay. This is going to sound a little dumb, but do you predict any surprises? Is there anything that would be out of the ordinary that you think would come from the weekend? Again, this is one of the newest facilities. You said it, we
were supposed to see it last year, but ultimately everything kind of got pushed back, and then now we're seeing it for the first time in 2021.
Yeah, so I guess that's where I say, is there anything? What should we be expecting?
I think you might see a Texas win or somebody from the area, because this has been, the Piney Woods has been a tournament for a while. I think somebody real comfortable out here has the best chance, which might be me. I winter in Texas.
There you go.
But I haven't ever played the tournament before.
But still, so we're looking at Sarah Hokom, Lisa Fakis, Christina Linthicum, maybe a Bradley Williams on the MPO side. I'm sure there's more. But when anyone thinks of MPO in Texas, they think of Bradley Williams, maybe Emerson Keith.
Sure.
But it's definitely going to take somebody hitting tight lines. I mean, getting up the fairway, penetrating the woods, rather than, they can't be off. They have to be a real consistent player. You're going to just get smashed.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, so fair to say that we're definitely going to be favoring technical and accurate versus just brute force power and big lines. Is that a fair?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, awesome. All right, Sarah, is there anything else you want to share with the world this week, from this weekend or from any other time, past, present, or future?
Man.
Anything you can predict in the future?
Right? That would be amazing.
Some lottery ticket numbers? I don't know.
I mean, you can predict anything. The question is whether it comes true or not. But I guess you could lob anything out there if you wanted.
Right. Well, I definitely think seeing how Owen has performed this year so far, I think she's going to snag herself a breakout win at an elite event for sure.
Okay.
I think Kona's going to continue. Her game looks super solid. She's out there working real hard. Yeah, and then I'm excited to see how Ella and Holland, when they see kind of some of these newer players coming in, be interesting. Also interested in whether we're going to go to Europe or not. Anybody know that?
I don't think anybody knows yet. My wife was asking about whether or not I have those weekends free, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like, it depends if the cameramen and the crews and everyone can get over to Europe. If they can, that's 2 or 3 weeks that I'm taking up possibly, and if they can't, that's 2 or 3 weeks I'm free. So we'll see.
It's starting to come down to the wire where we got to get everything figured out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Assuming it's gonna go forward, how excited are you to travel internationally again? Your last international trip was my last international trip. That was Thailand. I guess I technically went to Taiwan for a week as well. But generally speaking, that was the last time we were international, and hopefully going to be doing it again this year. How excited are you about all that? Are you at all nervous about whether it's the play or the conditions or the pandemic? Are you nervous about any of that, or does excitement overtake all of it?
Yeah, I'm not really nervous about the pandemic or anything I probably will have to get the vaccine or something to get over there, which I will do if necessary. But I'm really stoked to go to Norway. I've never been there, and I'm like trying to figure out what event I might be able to skip so I can stay a little longer.
Okay.
But
okay.
tour points, man, they're worth a lot nowadays, and there's a lot of people vying for them. And I'm like wanting to like go play these other events that I don't normally play, but I can't because I got to get all the points. Because even this girl's worried about making the Pro Tour finals.
Yeah, with promises of those very significant paychecks, those equal paychecks that are going to be on the line come October. You're right. And Steve Dodge said it 3-4 years ago. Like, tour points matter, and for a lot of different reasons. And now they matter more than ever with the amount of money and the accolades and accomplishments that are on the line at the end of the year. So pretty cool to see.
Is it a coincidence that there's now they're paying so much also to the women? Is it a coincidence that we see all these random women coming out of the woodwork?
No.
Or veterans coming back
no.
to say, hey, this is viable now. Okay, I'm going to go put my money in the hat.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I mean, there's obviously the question about, there's always the discussion about the smaller field versus the bigger payout, but it just goes to show that if the bigger payout is there, the fields are going to grow. So how do you grow the fields? I think we know with a bigger payout will help grow the field. I don't know if there's an argument to that anymore.
Yeah, I wonder when we're going to get more spots. I've been pushing the TDs this year to give us more spots.
Are they filling up? Are the events filling up?
Oh, they're full.
Okay.
Wait list.
Okay, because I clearly I'm not looking at. I only look at look, there's 34 women this week. I don't know if there's a 10-person wait list or a 30-person wait list. I never see that because I'm never trying to actually register for these events. So
right. If there's any availability, it's because we've already asked for more spots and they've given us them.
And I'll go on record. I think Terry will agree with me. If there are women willing to play FPO, they should be in there. If assuming that they've pre-registered. I don't think you should ever restrict the FPO field at this point.
Until when?
Until it's even. Literally until you're splitting it 50-50.
75 and 75?
Yeah. If there's 75, here's what I'll say. If there's 75 women willing to play, you put 75 women in there. Because we have let's say we have 140 men. The bottom 75 don't matter. You're never seeing them on coverage. They're not cashing. I would rather see 75 women and 75 men play. Honestly, I'd rather.
What if there's only 120 spots?
Then 60-60
and they
if
give
you can.
40, they give them 40 to the women, and right now we could probably get 40 to the women and 80 to the men. But there's 60 women that would play.
Yeah, I think that becomes the tough question.
60-60.
We're all saying the answer is the same. I think the question is it consistently, will it be consistently, if given the opportunity of, we'll say, a 60-60 split, will we get there? Or are we there? I guess that's the question. And if we are, then I think it's certainly worth looking at. I think it just continues to be the challenge of, is it going to be 60 out on one weekend that want to play, and is the next weekend only going to want to be 33?
Sure.
And that's where I just think it becomes tough as an organization to figure out how to combat that. But of course, we'd love to see the even split across the board.
And I've said it 1,000 times, because it comes down to even local events. When you're talking about FPO or women's players in general, it needs to be pre-regged. Like, you can't open up at like a month before the event. You kind of have to cut it off, and you say, okay, cool. If we only had 40 women out of 120, I'm sorry you had your opportunity. We do have people willing to play. We need to make accommodations for travel and this and that, especially with these larger events. I understand all of that, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be directing emails at me. You can't hold the spots forever. You just, if they're there for pre-reg, I think it should be an even split. After that, you have to be able to understand that. I get it's tough to plan, but we are a sport right now that's booming, and if we can't hold spots forever for women and FPO players, you just have to set a time and say, this is the time you have to register by. If not, we've given you the opportunity, and we need to move on, and hopefully you'll get into another event. I think that's kind of the way it has to work right now, and in the future it might not be that way.
Sarah, what's your I don't want to say guideline, but yeah, what's a good guideline? What would you recommend for, as Johnny's saying, for how long spots should be set aside for, and then if not filled by FPO players, then they open to an MPO side or an MP40 or whatever. What do you feel is a good guideline on that time frame? Do you have one?
I mean, I would think 2 to 4 weeks is fair. Okay. Maybe maybe there's it's listed in there that at this date these wait list spots will be released, if there are any, or these spots will be released to the wait list. Yeah, I mean, however, I don't really even know. I mean, this most certainly should be released at a time where people can make travel arrangements. And I don't really know what that. I would think a month is plenty of time.
Okay. And I only ask, I'll give a very real world example. I'm running a B tier in a couple weeks here in Wisconsin. I had at the time, I can't say randomly, but kind of randomly selected 8 women. We never have 8 women in open at almost any B tier in Wisconsin, but I had set aside 8 spots. It was the number I initially picked. By the end of the night, all of the pro spots were filled, except for now we have 4 out of those 8 spots in women filled. So there's 4 spots, and I'm getting email after email after email from MPO players and MP40 players and everyone else that are sitting on a waiting list say, hey, what's going on with those other 4 FPO spots? And at a certain point, as we're all discussing, I need to then say, okay, yeah, there's those 4 spots won't go. But it's so tough because I could have gotten 7 registrations or I could have gotten 3, and it's just a matter of finding that balance of how many do you set aside, and then did you guess right? Because right now, my MP40 and my MP50 divisions are also yelling, saying, hey, you didn't give us enough spots. And it's, I don't want this to sound like a big complaint, but it's like, there's no way to like perfectly service all the different divisions. And I'm all I can do is take my best judgment and set aside a whole bunch of spots for women. It looks like I've guessed right thus far, but it's going to be awkward if I get just one more that signs up, right? Because then I have 5. What do you do with those other 3 spots?
Yeah, 5 sims are the worst. It's
it's
the hardest number.
It is.
At a ghost hole.
Shut up. Shut up. No.
Yeah, no, that's a really difficult. Clearly I advocate for the women to get spots, but there is a lot of divisions. There's 23 different divisions of women in the PDGA, right? And so, 23 divisions of mixed also. So that's 46 divisions, and you've seen so many tournaments splitting up the days, splitting up the divisions so that they can accommodate all the people that want to play. And, I see a future of a women's tour with some of the leaders that are active in the game right now and the way that the sport is going. But I also see a seniors tour.
For sure.
I don't know who it is.
Oh, I do.
Peter Scheib tried to do it for a while, but there's somebody out there.
There's a
Maybe
couple.
Jeff Hungerford.
There's a couple, and I'm not going to spoil anything right now, but I have personally been in talks with a few people that are very much in the inner workings and or development stage and thought process of just that, some form of a seniors tour and an organization among them, to have a focus on those age-based divisions. And
juniors too. I mean, not little, big tournaments, big juniors tournaments all over with little people, but big juniors tournaments with all, like, at all the different areas. There's a lot of juniors tournaments that exist around the country, and those, continue to flourish. And I mean, I just don't see how, with the number of people that are playing and the number of divisions that are offered, that we can just continue to offer all of them in all tournaments.
I think this year is going to be a very defining year to see that if this wave that we saw in 2020 continues versus, and maybe it takes 2 years, because maybe 2021 we're still riding that wave, but 2022 things start to calm down and we see a 20% decrease in tournament entries, or because people have gotten their fill, that these new players. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm sure there are people, TDs, manufacturers, just everybody involved in the sport, kind of holding their breath, waiting to see what the future is going to bring.
Our bubble will not burst. It's not possible.
Sure. Ask Poker about that.
All right, Sarah. Well, it's been great catching up.
I love having Sarah Hokom on.
I mean, she's got so much knowledge.
I
She's so
love
smart.
being
Experience.
Sarah, what?
Uh-oh.
What?
Don't say it.
No.
He's going to say something stupid.
What is your future?
Oh.
Like, after you play, like, you're going to play an MPO. Sorry, you're going to play an FPO for at least another few years, we hope. 4, 5, 6, 10. I don't know. What do you want to do after that? Do you want to be involved? Is your interest in PDGA? Is it an interest in TDing? Is it interest in media? Is it interest in, stepping away and doing training? Like, what do you think you want to do when your career is winding down? And let's hope that it's a long ways away.
Yeah, I have not ever. I've always been more of a. I'm more of like a big picture person in general, but I also am not like a strict goal setter. I know that what I will do will reveal itself to me eventually.
Okay.
And I work hard every day and I do my best, and I can't see the future, and I work at my craft, and I know that eventually it'll reveal itself to me. I'm sure it'll be in some capacity of disc golf.
Because I always think I was thinking he was one of the more thoughtful players on tour. Like, especially.
Are you calling everybody else dumb?
If they're not on our show right now, yeah. Sarah's on our show right now. The rest of them are dumb because they're not here.
John said it.
In general, I mean, I've always thought of that because you've always kind of been on the forefront of FPO topics and FPO stuff, but just PDGA in general as well. So, when we did the women's symposium many years ago, you were a big,
driving force
leader in that. And I just wonder, like, where I was curious, like, if you saw a spot where you were going, but you don't yet. So
I think that what I'm going to do hasn't even been created yet.
Okay. I like
Fair
it.
enough.
Or you're going to create it, which is great.
Yeah, we'll see.
oh man, I'm getting the tingles here. Sarah's got big things in the works. Just we don't know it.
She doesn't know it yet.
I know. That's the best part. That's what's so
the exciting part.
It's exciting part. Exactly. Okay. But here and now, it's 2021, and there's
golf to be played.
I was just gonna say, there's so much golf to be played. When are we gonna get to too much golf? I mean, you talked about points. You talked about events. Are we going to get to a point as athletes, as professional players that are putting your body through these ridiculous, these crazy regimens week in and week out, almost every single week, at least 3 days of competitive play, sometimes 4, a day or 2 always of travel, a couple days of practice? Like, when are we going to, is there a breaking point for too much?
We're close.
Okay.
We're out of weeks. there's no room for extra events anymore. There's no room to run events. You have to skip big events. There's 22 elite series events and majors. I mean, that's a full season.
Yeah.
And that's not including any extra tournaments or any weeks off, really. I mean, I'm probably going to take 1 week off in May that I don't really want to take off, but otherwise it'll be 13 weeks in a row. And this will break it up into like 7 and 6 or something before Worlds.
Yeah, and that's incredible. I mean, you have more opportunities to play high-level events and to win more money than ever, but it comes at a cost.
Yeah, it costs definitely to your body, mental health, emotional health, for sure, all of that. But I think it's also going to give athletes more of a incentive to start taking their training to the next level.
And that's
we're going to see more injuries. We're going to see, more people lose their minds on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll, and we're going to see this cream of the crop rise who can do it and who works at it and can handle it.
All Disc Golf Network really needs now is our cutthroat reality show.
I was going to say, like a Real World?
Yeah, the week in and the week out of the struggles and the trials and tribulations and all the legit things going on out there on the tour.
Another one that I pitched that was just picking a pro and following them for a week. Like a camera, one or two cameras, like a reality. Like, get in the car with a pro and follow them for a week. What does their everyday, day-to-day look like from the minute a tournament ends on Sunday till the minute a tournament ends on Sunday? Like, I would love...
Do you want to volunteer for that one, Sarah?
I try to stay away from the drama, so I would probably not be the right choice. I'll just I'll have you over for dinner one night or something.
All right,
so vent to me.
Let me follow that one up
I
and
think
say
we can manufacture some drama. Like, did you hear what Calvin Heimberg said about Sarah Hokom?
No, let me ask this one. Give everyone a little morsel or more. What's something the world doesn't know about the tour? About tour life or being on the tour? It can be really specific to you, or it can be very generic that applies to most touring players. Give everyone a little inside secret to the tour and tour life.
I would say that people think that we all know each other and that we all hang out together all the time, and that's not what happens. I think we're all acquainted. I know all the MPO, most of the MPO's names. But we all talk all the time. No, there's cliques of people, or there's, people have their road buddies that they hang out with. And beyond that, getting together with people while you're training that week, it's usually dependent upon who you're staying with or who you're staying near or who you're camping next to. It's you're spending so much time at the course, and then just trying to do all the daily stuff that you have to work a little harder to do because you're not in your home, like dishes and laundry and emails and social media. And then, all these people putting out tons of social media content, I don't even know how they have time to do it. We also, I think another little tidbit people don't realize is we don't really take days off. Mm-hmm. If we're not competing, we're practicing. If we're not practicing, we're doing something with the media. If we're not doing that, we're traveling. Our Mondays are always traveling, almost always traveling. You don't even if I take that day off from playing, it's not a day off, So every once in a while I get a day off, and I like to find a couch and just watch Netflix on a couch and eat bonbons. I don't know.
What's the last good show you watched?
Rain, REIGN.
Oh, okay.
Like period piece.
Yeah, the
about
Middle
Mary
Ages.
Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my wife watched that at one point.
Middle Ages. 15th century, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
She told me I'd like it. We talked about it briefly this weekend.
Scott.
Yeah, I said it sounds too sophisticated for me, and she said that she thinks I might still like it.
One, I think from the little bit I saw, I don't think you would like it.
Okay.
Knowing Terry as well as he has. Yeah. No.
You don't think so? All right.
Actually, you know what? Firefly Lane. And this is a recommendation for you too, because it's I feel like you guys are the really closely akin to the two people in that.
Is that the one? Is that
I
the
don't
one,
even know what that means.
Is that the one? Is that the one with Katherine Heigl and Sarah Chalke? Someone maybe have already seen it. I caught.
Are you offended that I would put? I like you guys. I think you guys like them.
Not at all, because I think that yes. Terry and I we have been joined at the hip for a long time. No, my wife watched that as well, and I caught. I'd say of the 6 or 7 episodes of Firefly Lane, I think I caught 3 or 4 of them. So I wasn't able to watch the last few of them, so I just Googled because I was bored. I was like, what happened at the end? Oh, all right, cool. That's all right. So that's the cliffhanger, and we're gonna wait for season 2 now.
Well, but do not spoil it for me, because now I've got airplane time coming up this week. Maybe I'll have to download some Firefly Lane or whatever you said.
It was good. It was decent. Like,
all right.
That's the genre.
Think it probably plays a little bit more to the feminine audience, but because it's like about 2 best friends in broadcasting, kind of reminds me of you guys. But I'm not sure which one either of you is in that.
I'll have to report back on that.
I already know. Don't worry about it. He's the Katherine Heigl. Let's be real. Come on.
Okay, that's what I was going for.
I don't know if I should be offended by that or not. I'm gonna assume not. Anyway, whatever, people. Stop talking.
She's hot. You're good. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect.
Compliment.
Okay, I'll take it then. Even though wasn't Katherine Heigl like famously like outcast from all of
like Hollywood?
Yeah, Hollywood, because she was because some of her things she said.
I'll be the
about
Sarah Chalke because she was in Scrubs, and that's one of my absolute favorite comedies of all time. So.
Okay, fair enough. We're getting some more suggestions on the board, which I like it. We'll get into those maybe in the after show.
Yeah, that's after show too.
All right. Well, Sarah, first of all, of course, thank you for the the Netflix tips. Now, like I said, I'll go download those. Looking forward to watching the action this weekend. Hopefully, we'll be seeing. I don't know if all media stuff has been released or announced. I don't know any of those details yet, but
I don't pay attention.
I haven't seen anything, but I'm guessing at one point or another for sure we should see you this weekend. I'm just gonna trust that you're gonna.
I'll have to earn my way onto it this week, but you will.
Did they announce
Stephanie
it?
Vincent. Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Stephanie Vincent, Maria Oliva, are on the live card.
Okay,
and then
sweet.
2 more. So and then I think Valerie is gonna be on the post-production card.
Sweet.
Monahan.
Okay.
So of the Texas ladies.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that was one of your claims here tonight, or predictions, is that was maybe somebody comfortable, maybe somebody from Texas might have a leg up. And like you said, I know you winter there and put in some winter work and some winter hours. So we'll see if that.
Yeah, we'll see. I could do it. We'll see.
I like it. We like it. Go 2 for 2 back-to-back weekends. It would be great to watch that. So, Sarah, we want to thank you, of course, for joining us tonight, for taking time out of your schedule to get off the couch, to put the bonbons down so that you could come join us and fulfill some media obligations. We very much appreciate it. And, of course, congratulations on this previous weekend's hard-fought victory out there. I'm excited to release it. Excited for the world to watch you take on the Brooksville course this weekend. So nice work out there.
Yeah, thanks for doing double time out there. I know how hard you work, and just so everybody knows, Terry was like, I am so exhausted at the end of the day, and he still had to go film the USTDC playoff.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I didn't have to, but
he's like, should I do it? I'm so tired. I've been up so long. I've been up in front of this camera for like 9 hours. So he's killing it out there.
Or I'm an idiot.
So
one of the two. But thank you. All right. Again, Sarah Hokom, your Throw Down the Mountain number 9 champion from this weekend. Congratulations. We wish you, of course, the best of luck over there in Texas. And we look forward to seeing you out on the road some more. Always love catching up with you. And travel safely. We'll see you out there. Yeah.
One thing I got to thank MVP Disc Sports.
Please.
They just released my signature traces. So it's the first signature disc I've ever had in my entire career that had my name on it like this. So
heck yeah. Where can they find them? How can they buy them?
They can find them at any of their local retailers. It's the Cosmic Trace. You're going to love how it flies. It's got big distance, a nice flip up, but also pretty reliable. You'll be able to like point and shoot, and it's great for a ton of different arm speeds. So
I bet you it feels good in
it
the hand too.
Oh yeah, and they're gorgeous. They're that cosmic, like multicolor, bursty looking goodness.
Love it. Sweet. All right, Sarah. Yes, everybody, make sure you go check out any other sponsors or thanks you want to shout out.
Oh yeah, Paragon Disc Golf. Got to thank Zuka and Mitten Bags. Thanks
All right.
for the support. I love those guys. They all of them are really great companies. I wouldn't work with anybody else.
All right. Well, again, congratulations. Thank you for joining us tonight, and best of luck in Texas this weekend. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right. See ya.
Thanks.
Again, Sarah Hokom, make sure you go check out her new and, as she said, her only
signature, her first signature, the Trace.
I believe Mike Barnett had some this weekend in the inventory at Throwdown the Mountain, and I don't remember if he had any left. I know there were some people talking about him, so I apologize. I didn't remember to bring that up, but I'm glad Sarah got it in there. Yeah, awesome to see. Her, I think back to the days of her victory at the 2012 Worlds, and one of the commemorative discs that were made after the fact. But now that she's got her own signature disc out there, big shout out MVP, who I know is out there just killing it too. I know they've released a new bag that Sarah was either carrying or had carried around this weekend, a watermelon bag, and those really jump out for everyone to be able to see. So go check them out. We appreciate it. Sun King, yes, Elijah is asking. Sun King discs out of Florida. Mike Barnett and crew, and we'll say for the 10th time tonight, thank you so much to Mike and his entire crew. They genuinely like staff all of these people and take over this facility and this property for the week, or for 1 week at a time over a month-long period. And the effort that goes into it, I think people
amazing
wildly underestimate what it takes to get that course and that property into position and into a place of being able to even play it so that we can see it when we do on each given weekend. It's truly incredible. And yet again, thank you to Dwayne and Susan, who have put me up for 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th year in a row, whatever it's been. I get my own room. I have my own wing of the house down there. This year I got an upgrade to my own table so I could edit until 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning down in my room. It's
lucky you.
I'm a simple man. Give me a card table so I can edit till 5 in the morning, and you make me super happy. So thank you guys so much to everyone. All right. Jeez, is there anything else we need to cover in the regular show, Johnny, before we There's probably more stuff.
I bet there's
that you're
more
not
stuff we'll think
remembering.
of.
Well, if we do remember it, we can bring it into the after show, I'm assuming.
That's usually what we do.
Okay. Well, then we're going to close this out as is. I like it. Sarah's incredible performance this weekend. Big shout out, like I said, averaging like 982 golf to take it home. We'd like to thank Dynamite for giving us the updates for all things Belton, and then also Sarah Hokom for chiming in, not only giving us updates for what we saw and what she experienced for the first time over there at Throwdown, but then, of course, for what we're going to see and hopefully hear and experience this upcoming weekend when we're back in Texas, kicking off the PDGA's national tour now, since we couldn't quite do that in the same light last year, but kicking off the national tour, excited for another Elite Series event. So for Johnny V, myself, Dynamite, and our champion in Sarah Hokom this weekend, this has been SmashBoxxTV's podcast episode 342. We've got giveaways, we got free stuff, and a little bit of silliness and nonsense coming to you in the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxx TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SmashBoxxTV's podcast 342nd
After show.
Here, giving you guys the sweet after show action. Throw out that disclaimer. This is not a typical disc golf podcast conversation that always or definitely takes place during our after show. This is a great opportunity. If you got any questions, whether it's disc golf related or not, throw them in the YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook chat that happens to be going on live. If you throw it into those chat mechanisms days or weeks later, we definitely won't get to them. But if you do it while we're here live on Tuesday night, there's a really good chance we'll be able to see and possibly even interact and answer your question or follow up on hopefully an insightful point that you've made that we can regurgitate and pass off as our very own unique and original thought. Okay. Johnny's going to also, what always happens in the after show is Johnny rounds up our Patreon supporters, downloading the latest and greatest spreadsheet along with a opportunity people find on our website where they can then also enter in their information to be eligible to win during our giveaway. At a certain point, we will randomly generate a number which will be associated to all those people from our Patreon and giveaway page. And then at that point, we give something away.
How do they become eligible for that, Terry?
Wow, you could just do so by going out to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, and then you can choose to support us at any level.
Like $1?
As little as $1, Johnny V.
Or like if they're really generous, like $10?
If you're disc golf rich or real rich, you can go out, and if you support us at the $10 level or above, that also makes you eligible, or actually entitles you to, not just makes you eligible, it entitles you to, if you like that word entitlement, you will then be getting a clothing item that is uniquely produced every single quarter, and then that will get shipped out to you. We often work with our friend Miles Parkhill over at Paragon Disc Sports, but if you've got a better source, we will dump Miles in a heartbeat. Just kidding, we won't. But often it's some form of a clothing item. We've had some really unique things that then get given away
beanies,
on a quarterly.
T-shirts, sweatshirts. I'm working on
other secret stuff.
Working on some secret stuff. You know,
the secret sauce.
Because we're due for one. So
yes,
I honestly I feel bad. I kind of forgot a little bit. So I already knew what I wanted. So I'm going to reach out to a few people, and we're going to see what we can get worked up in the next week or so. At the $3 level, Terry, did you know that you qualify, that you're eligible, that you're entitled to the collector disc?
Wow, the annual giveaway of a Patreon collector disc that's exclusively produced and then signed by you and me?
Yeah, the box that's right behind me, behind this curtain that I took the last right before the show, and I signed the discs. The one that I accidentally miscalculated the number of discs we need, so Terry needs to order a few more.
Way to go.
I know. But we do have a bunch of discs back there that are signed. They're going to go to Terry. Terry's going to sign them. We're going to send them out. We're going to order just a few more. So we'll let you know offhand if your Patreon disc is going to be just a little bit later than everybody else's. But we promise you will get them. We do have a bunch of discs back there. I might have miscalculated the number when I handed it to Terry. Totally on me, this guy, about how many we need. So, but they're good to go with my signature, and I just need to hand them off to Terry.
Right, and then I need to be home for a couple days, more than just a few hours.
He uses acetone to remove all the signatures.
That's a good idea.
That is
if you don't want
plan.
yours signed, put in a special request to us to not have it signed, and then we will likely ignore it and then sign it anyway. Because I mean, we think you're special. I don't know if we think you're that special, but yeah, you get our monkey paw handwriting all over that.
I signed all mine in the exact same spot. And I thought, I wonder if I should just do like one or two.
Oh,
it's just a difference.
The real exclusive.
Just make the real. Someone's like, I got the one where he signed it at the bottom as opposed to the upper left or something.
Wow, that would be.
I didn't do it though.
Oh,
but I have more options to do it later.
I'm gonna sign a couple of them in blood. So
that's creepy and weird and probably not appropriate in the time of COVID, Terry.
I don't know. We'll see. But yes, of course. Thank you guys so much. I know I go in spurts where I get really, really on top of things and I send all the stuff out and super excited and happy to get you guys going. And then I go in spurts where I'm barely home for a few hours and then I go back out on the road for a week and then I'm back for a few hours and then I get behind by a few weeks. I'm kind of in that behind stage right now. So I'll gladly admit that. If you have something coming, please know, A, it's coming, and B, if you're getting nervous or you're worried about your free item coming, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm not offended. Someone just reached out to me the other night and they said, "Hey, you've said multiple times." They said you've said it multiple times on your podcast that if you really need something to keep reaching out to you, and it wasn't even about a free giveaway, it was about something else. And I 100% own that. That sentiment still. Yes, if there is something you're desperately trying to get locked in with me or ask me about or an obligation I have to you, or maybe you're trying to fulfill an obligation to me, whatever the case might be, do not hesitate to flat out badger me, to hunt me down and get me to respond to something via one of the many methods of social medias.
Welcome to the Johnny and Terry admit that they're screw-ups hour on the after show of Patreon.
I just want people to know that I am I can't run and hide at this point. Let's put it that way. I'm way too large to do that. So, but seriously, if there's ever anything you need, do not hesitate. Now, if you're asking me, if you can have my Comet or my Rock collection or my First Run Destroyer collection, I will continue to ignore that. But if you're asking me something absolutely legitimate or something I promised you or something we've done, then please do not hesitate to stay on top of me. Cody says, LOL, I once DM'd Terry at 4:30. He replied. He came through. So, and sometimes, you just hit me at the right time where I'm like, I just saw this. Hey, let me just answer this. So yeah, sometimes that'll happen as well.
You asked me at the end of the show if there was any other news or things, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll check the PDGA news and PDGA announcements, and most of the time there's like, oh, look, there's a disc release, or there's some PDGA news about some player that played well. A day ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items were approved by the PDGA, which is rather... For the audio listeners, Terry's trying to reach into my little mini fridge and keep his headphones plugged in so he could get a little water, but he was barely just able to get it. Congratulations.
My little stubs got me there. Don't worry.
9 items, like 3 Discmania discs and MVP discs for our guest Sarah Hokom. West Side, the Borg. I'm sorry, disc approved. The NSH2, the Borg, from Noob Simhouse Custom Discs.
Man,
along with
not
the
a long enough name.
NSH4, Mr. Putt from Noob Simhouse Custom Discs. Noob Simhouse Custom Discs, you'll get our invoice in the mail for talking about you. Streamlined it, and then like the Disc Golf 24's home basket from Sports Milky GmbH. Now, I would love it if I clicked on this and I saw a picture of a tire with some chains. That's what a
some
home
barbed
basket,
wire.
That's what home basket makes me think of. Not portable, but home basket. Like you built it out of things you found in your garage. Clearly it's not. It looks like it's from overseas because everything is in a different language. So that's my first giveaway, and centimeters. And it looks like a standard practice basket. But still, I would love it if I turned that on and I saw a tire with like a lid top and some plastic yellow chains. What is that? Okay, I think I need to show this on the show.
We are in no way affiliated. However, we can be paid, but we are currently not being paid for this visual representation to be showed.
So I clicked on this Mr. Putt from Noob Simhouse Discs, and you will see what you see here. I don't know what that is.
Oh, I get it. It's a roll of tape.
That's the disc, and it could be a great disc. I'm not placing any judgment on the disc at all.
No,
it's just not what we normally see, and I see the lines.
It's not a hockey puck, right?
No, I'm.
Max weight is 175 grams,
Diameter?
21 centimeters. Okay. I would just love a. Can I get a different angle?
This is the only angle you get to.
I'm gonna have to Google this now. Maybe I can learn more on the Googles. Maybe not.
So that was the Mr. Putt. I want to look at what the Mr. Borg is. Oh, the Mr. Borg looks like a normal disc. So I don't know what that was. So
interesting.
So Noob Simhouse Custom Discs, by all means, please. If I've offended thee, I'm sorry.
I don't think there's anything offensive. It is a very unique looking shape by the one picture that is posted on the PDGA.
It looks like kind of like if you were to take a shot of a birdie disc from way back when, an end of a birdie, but up close, that edge, which very, very flat edge compared to what we see with a lot of bevels these days. It was interesting. So
I don't see anything on the Facebooks with that, but I would really love another angle at what you had just showed. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see how that works out. Okay. Yeah. So others are saying that it kind of has a hockey puck look to it. Hey Keith, how you doing?
Big Putt Bill out there on the board.
Bill,
haven't seen you in a while, Bill. I hope Florida's treating you well.
A little Lauderdale by the Sea, possibly, but thank you for the super chat. I think we also had Tyler Brickley and friends, or just really, sadly, Tyler Brickley in here and joined us a little earlier and also provided a super chat. Matthew, I'm going to scroll up. Matthew had said, I'm sick of not allowing fans. It is time. Make people wear masks. Let us come back. Mad about not being allowed at Texas States. I'll keep it very generic and say, Matt, I think it's just a matter of following sports and crowd protocols in a very generic sense and fashion right now. If there's spectators allowed anywhere at any sporting events right now, they are in a very limited capacity. Everything from the NBA to NFL to everything in between. And I would just assume that the Disc Golf the Disc Golf Pro Tour will continue to generically follow standard protocols for a lot of other major league sporting activities. Now, I'm not saying they're following them to a T, but I don't think you're going to see them wildly veer off and tangent off into their own crazy and unique policies where all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh yeah, we're having VIP tents with 10,000 people invited on the 18th green. You're not going to see that anytime soon is what I could say to that. And I understand that you can be upset and frustrated. Of course, there's a lot of disappointed fans right now, and I think that could be said of literally every sporting event in the world. There's fans are fans, and our opportunities have been quite hindered and limited. But all in due time. All we can say is remain patient. Reading up on some other, Ray had asked earlier if Nate Perkins is hurt. Very cool seeing him, all the pros getting involved with the Disc Golf Network during their time off. I don't know that Nate Perkins is hurt in any way. I can't speak to that. He very well might be. He may have had a toe removed. I don't know.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
But okay.
His left middle toe.
His left middle toe.
Yeah. No. I don't know that he's hurt or not. I've not heard of such a situation, or if he had just kind of planned to have the weekend off in a capacity and then was, I don't want to say wrangled, was then coordinated with the Pro Tour to help out in a media capacity. But I do not know of anything specific about any kind of injury. Ray had also said earlier, Terry, I told Simon to call you during his Who Wants to Be a Millionaire live stream. And I just want to really quickly touch on that. The other night, Friday night. I was editing at Throwdown the Mountain. I was this is the same host that I mentioned earlier, Dwayne and Susan, who have hosted myself for a number of years now. I think I'm the longest standing tenant, but a couple years ago, Simon had stayed there. Paul and Hannah have stayed there in one of the other rooms. Nate Sexton's been there. Rand and Lotta. I'm just going to keep name dropping all these, good disc golfers. But Dwayne has been Dwayne and Susan have been gracious hosts. And so Simon called me out of nowhere at 10:45 the other night. And apparently he was doing Mario Kart for a while. He was live streaming some Mario Kart.
I'll still beat him.
And then later that turned into a game of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And then he called, and I apparently was his lifeline on the $1 million question, which I said that was not a good idea. And then when he said it wasn't disc golf related, I said that was even a worse idea to be using me as your answer. And Johnny, I think I asked you this. Yeah, I did. And I don't know if it's considered cheating or not, but as soon as I then knew, I was told the question. As the question was being told to me, I was Googling it. And I still couldn't find the right answer, which I think was then later said that even Google didn't have it. So I don't know who's checking who at this point. I mean, yeah. Anyway. And the question was, which Simon did word in a weird way, but as of 2020, how many full-length Winnie the Pooh movies had been released? And first of all, the way it was worded to me was implying as if there were multiple in 2020 alone, or as if they were just asking about 2020. But I guess the overall question was how many had been, up until that point, had been released. And Johnny's now also doing some Googling of his own. And we'll see if you come to the same answer.
No,
I'm trying to count.
Because do they count the direct-to-video films? Do they count
full-length movies was the question.
Because feature films is different, and feature films has one answer, and that wasn't the answer you told me.
Yeah. So at any rate, the Big Germ was somehow discussed about asking him. And I said, if Big Germ has any more of an idea to the right answer than I do, I would second guess Big Germ considerably, because I don't know how anyone would know that. And the options were 7, 8, 9, or 10, I think. And from what I could tell on a website and a quick Google search, I came up with the answer of I thought I saw 6 or 7, so that was my guess. The answer ended up, I think, being allegedly, the answer was 10. So sorry, Simon, you lost the $1 million. He believed me, and I don't know why. At any rate, Dust Esports, appreciate the super chat contribution. Thank you so much. Tim says Nate Perkins picked up someone at a bus stop and lost his toe. Did I tell you about me picking up a... All right. This is from a few weeks ago when it was really cold out. Now it's probably a month or two ago.
I don't think I know this story.
It was, yeah, you don't. I talked about how bad and awkward I feel every time when it's really cold out in Wisconsin. I just feel this weird sense of guilt and non-helpfulness when I drive by somebody at a bus stop and it's 10 below zero and I think, hey, I could actually just take you to...
Well, thankfully the weather's warmer. You don't have to feel guilty anymore.
Temperatures are way warmer, so I don't feel as guilty. You're right. However, the other night I had to run out and I was going to storage because I think I had to ship out 100 count of my disc in a box, which of course can be bought with 2 or 4 mil bags. But I had to get some of those ready. I get about a block from my house, and there's a pond on the left and a pond on the right as I go down my main road, and there is someone, and this is 11:30-ish, 11:45, and
afternoon or at night?
At night, and there is an adult male on the ground on the sidewalk. Which is a good 25, 30 feet from the pond still. But he's on the sidewalk, and he's like on the ground. He's like sitting on the ground. And I slowed down, and I looked. It just didn't seem right. So just as I got past him, I pulled over to the side of the road. I got out of my car, which was still running. I get out of my car. I go around to the front of my car, and there he is, and he's kind of holding his knees, kind of rocking back and forth with one leg, but holding his other knee as he's on the ground, sitting on the ground.
Rollerblade accident.
No, he's a quad skater. No, I'm just kidding. And he's holding his knee, and I said, "Hey, man, are you all right?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll be okay, man." I'm like, "Okay." Like, do you live around here? He's like, "Yeah, I just kind of tripped and fell." I was like, "Okay, all right." I'm like,
that time of night sounds like maybe he's coming back from an establishment.
Billy Hose is where he was visiting in downtown Pewaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm not sure if anything physically or anything was there to help him fall other than himself, as he had tripped and fell. And then
no judgment, we've all been there.
Yep. And I simply said to him, I said, "You live right up the." Yeah, man. I just live right up the road. It's like, "Would you like a ride?" It's like, yeah, that'd be great. I had to physically. Maybe he's, I don't know, 6'2", very slender man. I had to physically help pick him up off the ground. I kind of shuffled him over to the side of my Element and into my car, opened the door and helped him in. And I drove him about a block and a half. He lives across the street. He lives in an apartment complex. And I pull up and I turn around and I get out and I help him out of the car. And he doesn't go more than a few feet. And then he wants to sit back down on his stoop or his walkway there. I'm like, "Are you gonna be all right?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I think my phone's back at the bar. I'll go get it tomorrow." I'm like,
probably a good plan.
"All right, man, you're good." He said, "Yeah." So, in the funniest of ways, I was able to.
You
help
fulfilled
out.
your dream of helping somebody. Picking up a stranger and driving them around.
A drunk 55-year-old gentleman that clearly could not walk the full 10 blocks from the bar back to his house. It was pretty funny. Only because he was truly fine. I said something about what's your name? Jimmy. All right, Jimmy. I'm glad you're okay. Nice to meet you. Oh, no, I said something about where do you live? He goes, "Yeah, just up the road." I said, "Oh, I live right across the street then from there." He's like, yeah, you probably knew that. Like, "No, I don't know you, Jimmy. I've never seen you before. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. I'm sure you don't know who I am, but Jimmy is safe and sound." So not quite as fulfilling or gratifying as, say, helping someone when they're waiting for a bus and it's 10 below zero and they need to go 40 miles and it's going to take 3 hours, and instead I could just take them. But I did take this guy a block and a half home.
Bravo. I'm happy for you, Terry.
It felt good. Good old Jimmy. All right. No, I did not give him a disc ace run. I might be nice and I might be trying to grow the sport, but I ain't disc golf rich. So no disc for Jimmy.
Here, I got this HMB Mr. Putt for you. Good luck.
I was like, "Oh, you play hockey?" No, damn it. No, it's a putter. Just reach out to my friend, Mr. B. Mr. Putt, I don't know. Anyway.
Wow. There goes any chance they're ever going to sponsor us.
I know. And
I'm just teasing.
Yeah. The footage you didn't know you needed tonight, Johnny? MP40 action. I wanted to get it out before I release Throwdown tomorrow. MP40.
Love some MP40 action. Only if it has Steve Rico in it.
I can one up that.
No, you can't.
Yeah. Steve Rico along with
There's no way.
Pete Ulibarri.
No way.
Along with the playoff champion from this previous weekend.
I don't believe it.
Shasta Chris.
Are you kidding me? What is this? The MP40 All-Stars?
And the only way you can top that off is with Iowa's own
Chris Bragg?
Close. Justin McLuhan.
You almost had me. Sorry, Justin.
I mean, if you need to shut the show down so you can go watch this.
I might just... Can I restream it? I mean, I'm just saying, like...
I could sell those rights. Those are... I'm getting big bids. In all seriousness, super happy to get it out. I did reflect for just a moment.
And you're like, damn, I'm old.
Besides that,
I played with all these guys.
We're going to talk about that, too.
I played with all these guys in advance.
No, what I would love to reflect on is how yet fulfilling the memorial was, but maybe even more excitedly, I was thinking about with this release, that means we were able to capture the FPO championship round in footage, all 4 rounds, the MPO championship round and all 4 rounds, and then the MP40 championship round, the final round, which is just really, it's exciting to know it's all out there and it's in one spot for you guys to watch. So thank you again to Pete Ulibarri, maybe most importantly for the assist on the commentary for so many of those rounds, of course, along with Jamie and others that helped out. So you can watch that, and then starting, of course, on Wednesday, Throw Down the Mountain, I've got a new commentator. Another random sitting next to me in the booth in a van.
Just somebody you picked up on the side of the street, Jimmy.
I'm like, hey, come into this van.
Jimmy, I need someone to help me commentate.
Yep.
So please get into my car and speak clearly into this microphone, Jimmy.
It worked even better than that. Steve Hollis, Mango, said, hey, I've got a van for you to bring this guy on into. You guys can plug stuff in, and me and Trevor Harbolt sat down.
Oh, that's awesome.
So big shout out. Thanks, Trevor Harbolt. Tomorrow is the release of the first round of Throw Down the Mountain. That's exciting.
That is exciting.
What might not be as exciting, I'm going to just give it all to the fans now. Rounds 2 and 3 are going to be, if I want to get them out timely this week, it's going to be 100 times harder to hunt down our fellow competitors like Trevor and others that are on other sides of the country.
Are you going to tell me I'm going to get some solo commentary?
You might get some solo commentary.
I love being the solo
Here's what I think I'm going to do about
that. I don't get... When you have a commentator with you, as great as that is, I don't get nearly the snarky Terry
Bingo. You might get a
enjoy.
Drunk Terry, too. A few dirty bastards in me.
If I knew the course at all, I'd volunteer to have some drinks and commentate with you, but I don't know that course at all.
No, well, so in the essence isn't the word, in the scheme, whatever, of time, you're going to probably get solo commentary for rounds 2 and 3, so I can get those all out this week. So you will have all fresh footage all week long, and then that leads us right into this weekend.
Right into the live on Friday.
Booyah. All right. Okay, I think I'm enough. I've pitched my wares, my goods.
Yeah, you have.
Let's pitch some free stuff away.
We got free stuff. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. We already pushed and prodded and poked. I want to thank everyone who's recently signed on. We had quite a few sign-ons over the last week, so shout out to everybody who's jumped on board. Get on board now before the train leaves the station. I mean, you cannot get on quick enough to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. If you have to not pay rent for an entire year to get on SmashBox Patreon, you should do that.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
All in the hopes of winning a Frisbee or maybe a shirt.
Or a shirt.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, rent comes and goes. Patreon's forever.
Yeah.
I have sorted it this week by zip code.
Dang. Yeah, it's about time.
I went zip code for the first time ever, which
Please
means...
tell me, do we have any 90210s in there? I mean, that's the only zip code that really matters.
No, we have a 90427.
Ooh.
Which
doesn't sound like a good part of town.
No, which is actually in Nuremberg.
Oh.
So it's in Denmark.
Yeah, well, obviously.
So, but no 90210s.
All right, so Johnny has sorted by zip code.
So the top ones are mostly our wonderful foreigners, and then as well as our East Coasters. Then it gets sorted to West Coast. And if you're in here but don't have a zip code in there because you're maybe only a $1 or $2 Per creation, you get sorted towards the bottom, but you are all in here, I promise.
Okay. Sam's asking for tiebreakers. Well, Sam, there doesn't need to be a tiebreaker because he's going to just we're going to pull a number between 1 and 206, and then out of the 206 people, he will go to the corresponding row that will match up. He just happens to have sorted them this time by the zip code, so it doesn't.
Everyone still gets a number. So Terry, what number should we pick?
I don't know. I mean, so many of the numbers are large this week that come to mind. I think of Sarah's first round, her 998. That's a lot of numbers for you to pull from.
I don't want to generate 1,000 numbers. Please.
I think of Throw Down the Mountain 9 that we covered. I covered.
And I can quickly hit it 9 times.
Okay, do that. All right,
we're gonna hit it 9 times. Ready?
Nine times.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is the largest we've ever done.
6, 7.
Oh God,
8.
this is
Our ninth number is 175. We're going to scroll down to the bottom. 175 is Adam Lawrence. Congratulations, Adam Lawrence. You are our Patreon winner this week. You are the 9th person I drew. I saw the number 1 pop up on there. I've never seen that.
It's so random.
Yeah. SoRandom.org. So Adam Lawrence, congratulations. Adam from Tulsa.
Okay. Thank you again. Yeah, appreciate it, Adam. Johnny's going to send a note. And then, Adam, we will have to confirm. It doesn't look like we have your address, which, to be fair, sometimes your prizes get delayed a little because we need to either get or double-check your actual shipping address. So even if you're not supporting us on a level where you're guaranteed to get something, it's always great if you leave that in there or put that in there when you sign up for the Patreon, just so we can skip a step or two and make sure we get stuff sent out to you a little bit quicker. But thank you so much, Adam. We appreciate it. All right, I'm going to read a few more of the comments on the board. Orlando Unicorn says, as a Floridian and a fellow drinker, hit me up for Throw Down the Mountain commentary. Appreciate that.
I bet you Darren LeMay would be good for that, and he seems to be a late night guy.
I mean, Darren did save me from losing my water bottle there a couple years ago after I left it up on the tee of hole 7 and then hunted me down a few holes later. That was great. Thank you, Darren. Patreon cannot figure out how to update my credit card when my expiration date changed. That's weird, Elijah.
That is weird.
I'll be the first to admit I don't. From the front end, I don't go in and play with Patreon too much, but hopefully there should be an easy way to maybe delete your
card or link it to your PayPal if you have one or anything like that.
Or just like a direct link to your soft wallet or whatever, so we can get your Bitcoin when we need it. I don't know. Those are just some ideas. Keith says, I'm actually wearing the Skyline shirt Tear Bear gave me. Good to hear it. I like it. Ray says, use 867-5309 with your area code at the Kroger gas pumps. Does that really work? Fun fact, my father and stepmother live in a place in Wisconsin, and the legitimate prefix to their phone number is 867.
And I'm guessing there's nobody in town that has 867-5309 because
you can't assume that they would, but I don't know.
I think that the telephone
they would have to block.
They would just block it because they would just get too many calls.
I don't know. Jenny's got my number. All right, Skyline Chili, Tim. I'm going to chime in on that one quickly. I'm guessing my good friend Dave Weisblum has logged off for the night, or he is dozed off for the night is probably the more appropriate comment. I had very much pitched Skyline Chili to me a number of years ago, and I left wildly disappointed.
My wife made chili tonight.
I would take that any day over Skyline.
It was pretty good.
Not impressed. Skyline Chili.
I mean, I guess it depends what you want to call it. It had noodles in it. So she cooked the noodles separately, the elbow noodles, and then the chili in the slow cooker, and I mixed them up with some cheese and some oyster crackers.
Sure. I'll go with that all day.
Good stuff.
Stay away from Skyline Chili. Not impressive. People just put that number in the in from that song and making an account, and it accumulates points. Are there any shirts or hats or hoodies available? Travis asks. We don't have any ongoing merch available at the moment.
I've got some polo shirts available, and I think there's a T-shirt or a few that Miles still has. But currently, we've really not hit the merch stuff very hard, only because there's only really two of us to kind of run a merch shop. I can kind of work with Miles, and he does a little bit of that for us if we order a decent amount. But we haven't really done any hoodies.
Yeah, that's certainly something we need to get in on and expand upon for sure. Skyline DG is got the Smashbox S in the middle. Keith is asking, yeah, a number of years ago. As funny as much as this dates me, back in like 2010 or 11-ish is when I had developed an apparel line for disc golf under the name Skyline. And it's still a name I very much like for an apparel company. It was definitely something, I didn't want something disc or disc golf or ace or eagles or birdies or any of the incredibly, I don't want to say overused, but overused or common disc golf phrases in the actual brand name.
But what if?
No.
Let me sell this. Okay. What if I had like a black and white circle with a funny thing in the middle, and we called it like maybe like yin and yang?
Yes.
Nobody's ever done that in disc golf.
I have now for many years been less than impressed with some of the creativity. Now, again, as two guys that combined with all of the brain power in the world cannot draw appropriate looking stick figures or barely draw Frisbees for that matter, we admit we have no design skills at all. Zero. Less than zero. However, there's a few things that I feel like are a little played out in the sport of disc golf, and I don't need to go on a full-blown rant for the millionth time on this, but people get away from wings, okay? Wings. You don't need to put wings. Wings, I just feel like, are so incredibly overused in disc golf. I get it. We fly. We like flight. We like birds. Birds also incredibly common, but just wings and chains I could do without. And then on a personal level, I'm not a fan of skulls or yin-yangs. Those I could also do without. Again, that might be your style. That's a little bit more specific. But wings, chains.
Marco just says Terry loves skulls. I think he had said that before you had even said it.
Wings and chains and birdies are just they're so tough to be original anymore because we've seen a million of them all of these years.
What about a skull on fire? Have you ever thought about that? I mean, it's different.
I mean, you don't see. I mean, Johnny, we're getting old. We don't see enough Kelvin pissing on other brands.
That's true.
In disc golf, like we used to back in the day.
I mean, we can bring it back.
Yes, 100% original. What if Kelvin's peeing on a disc with wings or something? I don't know. Like, it'd be the trifecta of everything. I just so overused. What about a slippery tee pad? I do like that one, DG Beat. A slippery tee pad. It would at least be original. I'd take volcanoes and porcupines.
I like narwhal. I think
ants.
That's great.
Sure. All of those things are at least like shape and mold those into attire, not either very direct or somewhat abstract disc golf. Like, I could appreciate that creativity, but I've seen enough damn wings. Just sorry, I have. Yeah, I don't. Ryan brings up, what about blank aces?
No one has a company with a unique word and then aces.
It's really tough, and I love our friends over at Ace Run Productions as a media crew. But anytime, just Aces goes, I think I said both the term birdies and the physical representation birdie. I just think it's really tough to be completely unique because we've seen so many ties to those throughout all of the years.
I get it.
I think about one of my favorite roundabouts on all of this or twist to all of this is a few years ago, forever, if you're really old like Johnny and I, you're used to seeing birdie bags, all right? Mm-hmm. They were produced. They're still, I think, made to this day and used often. Now there's 100 variations, but the concept of, some kind of a hand drying device for either your hands and or a disc to reduce or eliminate moisture, rain, moisture, whatever. I got to admit, I very much chuckled when the inventor came out with bogey-free bags because I just felt like
that's clever.
I guess. Bogey-free bags. I will still accept sponsorship for our videos.
It's great.
So I'm not suggesting. It was a funny play. Yeah, it was a funny play on it. All right. Sorry, I'm just rambling as usual. My buddy just did the Grateful Dead skeleton with roses, but went with a moose skeleton and a moose pretzel for the moose pretzel disc golf.
I think there is. You're talking to two guys who couldn't name a single Grateful Dead song. Can you name one?
No, but I've seen the house.
Have you? Yeah, that's right. You went to Moving On?
Sure.
Is that one? I don't know. I couldn't name one, swear to God. And I'm sure if I heard it, yes. There is definitely an affinity in our sport to that style of music. And I do not have any issue with people playing on that for a particular event or a club stamp or something like that. I wouldn't go with a company name like that. I think that's really, but if you're, if you're doing something for a local event and it's a one-off stamp, that to me, I have less of an issue with it than necessarily like framing your entire company around it.
As in making not a parody or a spoof, but as in like a play on an already existing brand. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Need more input says Terry doesn't like Nico's merch line. You heard it here. First of all, I will chime in on that. Flight Club as a concept, absolutely love it. Like that to me,
it's a good name.
It's a great name. I think it's an incredible name. I really do like it. When I saw from some of the first shirts, which I may or may not have debuted in Thailand 2 years ago, I was like, yeah, the design wasn't my style. Now, this just comes down to a purely stylistic perspective. Nico, of course, as we saw from his shirts at Waco, very Rasta themed. That's not my style. I think they look great on Nico. I think there's plenty of people that pull off that theme and look phenomenal. I say it all the time. I don't need to draw any more attention to me or my size, so I'm not going to be wearing bright yellows, bright oranges, and greens and things of that nature. I think they look sharp. It's just that simply is a style that's not for me.
Sure. Same here.
Yeah, but Flight Club as a name, I'm definitely a big fan of that. I really like the tie-dye he was rocking, and I'll double down on that. And Johnny, and kind of with what he had just said, tie-dye is just simply not a style that.
When was the last time you wore a tie-dye shirt? I think for me, it has to be middle school.
I think it was never. Really? I don't know that I've ever worn. I've never.
No, high school. I won one. At a school dance, I won I won a Grateful Dead tie-dye shirt. It was, it had all like the dancing bears around it, and I would wear it as an undershirt. it's not my style, only because I would feel weird wearing it just that, because I'm not a Grateful Dead fan. So somebody that I would always be afraid someone would come and be like, oh yeah, I'm like, no, I have no clue what you're talking about. But I would wear it as an undershirt. So I would probably say high school is the last time I actually wore one.
I'm going to go as far as saying I've never owned or worn a tie-dyed shirt. Never been my style. The closest thing that you could say to that would, of course, be my hypercolor shirt in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I mean, those were...
That's pretty close.
That would be the closest thing. And Johnny, do you want to explain to the kids out there that aren't familiar with hypercolor shirts?
Oh, geez, kids, hypercolor. So imagine a fabric that changes colors based on the temperature.
Yeah.
So you could like rub your hands together, get them nice and warm, and pop them on somebody, and those handprints would stay for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it was.
That was one of the now to totally date us, and
it was a huge trend for about a year.
Yeah, at least, and for us that was like 8th, 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever year that puts us in, 90, 92, 93.
Right
that what's right?
I would think so.
I'm gonna Google it now. Hypercolor shirt. Oh gosh, so. Do they still make hypercolor shirts today? Genera Company is the contemporary women's and men's apparel brand headquartered in New York City. In the early 2000s, the technique was revived by a number of apparel brands in the mid-2020.
Sure. I can understand like
clothing,
the throwback,
so on and so forth. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was super popular in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, exactly. They were produced several color choices, beginning in around 1991. So anytime it would, heat and or water were the common ways to do it. And talking about between February of 91, they sold for 50 million. They sold 50 million in hypercolor garments.
I don't think I ever owned one. I think my sister did. I don't think I ever did.
How ironic is this? And they said they went bankrupt due to mismanagement and fading demand in 1992. The hypercolor business for the U.S. market was sold to the Seattle T-shirt company in 1993. They kept the rights in the international market and blah, blah, blah. Emerged from bankruptcy in 1995, so on and so forth. So, yeah, and in some form or fashion, it is still, it looks like, the Genera Company is a contemporary women, blah, 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 in New York City.
Sure,
so
I'm sure that, like, yeah.
And then it goes on to talk about the actual science behind the shirts. But, yeah, and that perfectly segues to one Johnny V getting yet older this previous weekend.
Yes.
You have now...
Was it on Friday
hit the ripe age on Saturday. You have now hit the ripe age of 43. How does that feel?
I feel no different than I felt at 42, which is great.
How about from when you were 33?
I mean, there's obviously an extra ache or pain, a little. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm in great shape. I would never say that.
Nope, no one would.
No one would. In fact, I talked to my dad today, and he kind of was like, saw a picture recently. You're looking a little rounder, huh? In the face. He's like, I see it in your face.
Wow.
And I don't see my dad very often.
So thanks, Pops.
Like, yeah. And my wife even chimed in, and she's like, actually, he's a little skinnier than he was even a couple months ago because I laid off soda or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, I feel as young as I've ever been, Terry.
Okay. I mean, age is just a number.
Age is just a number. I do. I mean, clearly I'm not going to be going out to any, dance clubs like we were when we were younger anymore or anything like that. But
until we get you a new hypercolor shirt.
Until I get a new hypercolor
we got to get you dressed up.
Yeah. Can I get some cross-color jeans,
Yep.
Some overalls too? But I love it. I feel good. Work, everything right now is coming up, Johnny. Everything's coming up good. We got, Skip Ace is doing well. SmashBoxx is doing well. My personal life is doing great. Work life is doing well. So I really can't complain about how things are going. 42 was a good year. Not for like,
not for the rest of the world in a pandemic, but yes.
But for me personally, not bad.
I mean, your birthday last year all but kicked off the surge of the pandemic.
Truly. I think they were saying like March 11th.
It was really the day. Your birthday's the 20th, so I still blame you.
First day of spring, I'll take that blame. I'm good with that.
So yes, Johnny moves into 43 this past Saturday.
Do you think Miles can make a hypercolor Smashbox shirt?
I think he'd be silly not to.
Mm-hmm.
Miles, we need you to get on that. I think they're selling the patent probably over at that Genera company out of New York. Reach out to them, please.
Ray Zerhausen asks, when can you leave work and do DGN full time? Not for a while, man. I've said before, I really enjoy my job as an IT manager. We just literally hired a new guy yesterday to work in my department. Young guy named Will.
When are you guys looking over my application?
I did look it over.
Uh-huh.
I filed it.
I would. I'm just waiting for that call.
I've got your number, Terry. I've got your number.
Okay.
So just wait.
867-5309.
No, Terry.
Oh,
I've got your number. Awkward. Yeah, I like my job, and I do. I think a decent job at my job. I mean, depends on the day, but ultimately, I get paid very well for my job. So doing DGN full time, I don't even know if I'd ever want to do DGN full time.
Uh-oh.
That's just it. Like maybe I would. I haven't really thought it 100% through, but doing DGN 15 weeks of the year could be fun. And then doing my full-time job and being able to travel for work, and because with DGN there's no travel, period, for me, unless I take a different position in DGN. But I'm not necessarily qualified for any other position. I'm really qualified to push buttons and do tech work. So it's yeah. So I like my job. I have good insurance. I make a really good amount of money, and I've been doing it for a very long time. So we'll see. But, if DGN came at me with the right amount of money, it'd be hard to say no. That's right. Terry's my my lawyer here.
Mm-hmm.
Like retainer.
Accountant, lawyer. I do it all. So money talks, folks. All right. Reading a few more of the questions also that had come in. Well, Cody, first of all, happy birthday. He says yours is coming up on Saturday the 28th. That doesn't make sense because I think Sunday would be the 28th. So
because on Saturday
was your birthday, and yours is the 20th, and my daughter's was on the 21st, which was Sunday. So if yours is on the 28th, Cody, get your day straight, bro. DGPT studio update. We'll keep that one brief, but working on
the fiber the fiber internet was installed yesterday. This weekend we had a temporary studio. They gave us some in the same building that we're in the basement. They're building out a studio, and right now we had a temporary one on the second floor that had basically just a backdrop, a couple lights, things I'm not qualified to set up, but yet did. And so we're still in a temporary space. We're hoping. I think DDO was the shot that they were looking for. DDO is the first one, hopefully, in the new space for the control room.
Yeah, and there's some. I can't announce it just yet, but there is some exciting specific stuff going on with DDO. Looking forward, of course, to hanging out down there for that PDJ National Tour event, an event that has been so near and dear to our hearts here at Smashbox because they've really embraced Smashbox and live streaming and supported that in every facet or mechanism or iteration that we've been providing since 2014 or 15. And so excited to go there and fulfill those roles yet again this year, largely under the, of course, the Disc Golf Network branding, but still providing the live coverage. So super excited about that, of course. Cody had mentioned that it was about a year ago that his father had passed away, and due to COVID, you weren't able to see him. We're, of course, sorry to hear that. As we look forward, one year later, in so many instances, and thinking about all the it's going to be tough, obviously, for everyone in every different way to rehash, the anniversaries of different things, good, bad, or otherwise, from what reels back all the way from COVID of last year, as we still obviously continue to fight through it here this year. William S., thoughts on Charlie Eisenhood commentary? I would love to put that. I know, Johnny, you had said that you thought he was really good. Dana had of course said he was really good. I assumed he was going to be good, and I'll just reiterate, I haven't consumed literally 1 second of the broadcast, but I had every assumption that he would be good.
Take my opinion for the grain of salt, because I also think you're good.
Oh, wow.
So if that puts a bar anywhere,
Yeah.
That's not a big hurdle to leap.
In that case, sorry, Charlie. Sorry for the insult he just threw. No, I would be interested to hear what others thought, but I'm going to just assume that he was good. Did we see DGN getting the rights to pull highlights from post-production crews for the past few days' highlights in the future?
I think they can do that already. I think if you're filming at a DGN event, the DGN has rights to the footage. So let's just say you're a gatekeeper and you put out, you catch an awesome ace. I think the DGN has the rights to that. I think it's like shared rights or something along those lines. But I don't know. I mean, I think in the next 2 to 3 years, I think a lot of stuff is going to change. A lot of our landscape for media is going to change in general, for DGN, post-production, live, all that stuff. And we're kind of starting to dip our toes in to that pool.
Yeah, a little bit different landscape, as you're saying, and I think things will continue to change and evolve as we're all, we've always keep saying it's been the wild, wild west, and then every single year things are getting more defined, more specific, more professional, and in some ways more restrictive depending on who you are, and that all comes with the territory. Tyler Brickley and friends using Super Chat in the smartest of ways. So here's the Tyler Brickley tip, folks. If you Super Chat a little bit, but you do it often, you see your name is seen and then announced that many more times. So clearly, going with quantity of Super Chats is going to provide your largest exposure. And then the better the colors are, the more they pop off the screen, and colors, of course, are then related. So Tyler Brickley trying to win the Super Chat game. The question is, who wants to challenge him tonight is what I would say to that.
That's a tough
and
call.
We wish you the best
He's
of luck.
really pushing for me to move the Super Chat location.
Well, where are they currently located?
Currently, they pop up on the very top bar above kind of your head.
Mm-hmm.
He wants it during the 2-shot. So I'm going to show this shot right here of Dana locked in place. He wants above our heads right here. And I don't know. So, by the way, Dana's still watching the show. He's
Yes,
very still.
He is very, very enthralled in our after show. Patrick Lowry says, Junior World's invite came out last night. Both of my daughters were invited. Are you going to be at Junior Worlds, Terry? It pains me to say this. If the European leg and travel happens, I feel like my assigned obligations are there. And I know you say, how could you pick Norway over Emporia? And I think about those challenges. And I know I kind of say that jokingly, but Emporia, it is very special. The Junior Worlds is very special. As I just mentioned about DD a few minutes ago, they hold a very special place in both of our hearts, and just the way they've treated both of us like family, even from a different media team. So it would pain me to not be there. However, if the PCS Open in Norway are taking place along with the European Open, and we are in a broadcast capacity working those events, then I think my obligation then would lead me to those. But if not, and if maybe I have my weeks confused, then I will do everything I can to be at Emporia. Jennings also did well. Her mic was low. That's about it. Low talker, Elijah asks.
Yeah, she is. And I talked to her about it a little bit. And I think we talked a little bit earlier on the show about it. To start out, the mics that we have, actually I have one right here because I was testing it out here in the office, because we did notice that the mixing board we have we'll get a little bit deep into this. The mixing board we ordered for the studio is on back order. It's a very popular mixing board. It's called HD Euphoria 404 HD. It's made by Behringer. So the one that I brought as a backup used to be an old Smashbox one that we used when we first started. It's this bigger board. It's a Behringer X1208. Well, these are the headphones that they use and that they ordered for the Disc Golf Network. It takes a decent amount of power to run these. The old board that I had, they had to really crank up the gain and the sound in order to get decent sound out of it. And it was a real fine line that if you push it too much, you start to hear room noise and hiss. And on top of that, with Christine being a slightly quieter talker, we had to really enforce that. Plus, I think she just wasn't jumping in at the very beginning with the FPO updates. We'd go to the FPO scoreboard, and Charlie would kind of lead the charge, and then I think he was waiting for her to jump in, and she wasn't quite as comfortable quite yet. But as I said, she got better, and once she was in the co-host chair for FPO, I thought she did phenomenal. I was very happy. But yeah, it was I won't say a rocky start. It was a quiet start for Christine Jennings, and I believe she has a lot of potential and a lot of skill in the future for doing some of this stuff. And it won't be the last time you see her this year. I guarantee it.
Awesome. Also, along those lines, with regards to the Silver Series, someone had asked, are there going to be more Silver Series on the Disc Golf Network this season?
Are there?
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, what else do you pay for? Silver Series will live on the Disc Golf Network. And
exclusively.
I think, kind of going with what I just said, if the international play takes place, which we're all assuming it's going to, I believe there would be, in theory, there would be a conflict with the Silver Series at the Canyons in Illinois, and therefore I don't think that final day would be broadcast live if I've got my days and weeks and months straight. I believe that might be a conflict, and therefore you'd be getting action from Finland or Norway or something like that, and there would not be a live crew that's taking place at the Silver Series at the Canyons at Delwood. Other than that, the other 4 out of 5 remaining Silver Series events, I believe that right now the plan is to be live for the final day, final round, just like we were this weekend. So I feel like that's a huge additional selling point to being on board with the Disc Golf Network. That's the only place you're getting them, and it's going to be the final day. So, and from what you said,
there was some Mo. I'm sitting next to Mo, and he was a little frustrated because they released these little short recap videos on Friday and Saturday. And people were making comments on YouTube, and I haven't gone to look, so I'm trusting what Mo said, that they were upset that we weren't getting the full live experience all 3 days. And it's been planned since the very beginning of the year that the Silver Series final day live, it gives our cameramen a little break, it gives us a little break. And for the most part, most of these events aren't going to be the stacked field that we see at Belton. You're going to probably get, I would say 20 or so thousand rated players, maybe 1 or 2 top players, and a bunch of regional players. So there won't be the thought was there wouldn't be the demand. Well, this year is unique, and we see that. So Mo was a little frustrated that he was like, "What do we have to do to make these people happy?" And we have these, it's final day live. So ultimately, we will continue to do final day live. That we'll take a look at the end of the year, and if we look at it and we go, "Wow, it really worked out well. Maybe we should do more." At that point, we'll look at that. But for now, the plan is, like you said, 5 out of 6 events, final day live.
Yes. Looking forward to that, and it's if you bring it around like full circle and you think about so many people not buying into the concept or finding enough value in live, and now, although it's still always a work in progress, let's be very clear on that. and there's always going to continue to be struggles. But now we are at a point where people are also saying, "Hey, we want more live. One final day is not enough. We want more of it." So that's awesome, and we will continue, obviously, to use that feedback and just keep going with it. Also,
yeah, we're definitely a victim of our own success in that matter. The DGN, where people not only expect it, they want it, and that's good that it is something that people want.
Also, people asking about, good night, Keith, by the way, if the final day of the national tour, as in like this weekend's Texas States, will be live on YouTube, and I believe the answer is in fact yes.
Yes.
All final day
and up.
Yeah, so the final day will be live for anyone that doesn't want to pay for the Disc Golf Network coverage, which in this case would be Friday and Saturday's coverage this weekend. If you're not up for that, well, you can still watch the final day live. All right. Trying to catch up on a few other things.
You know what I really love, though?
What do you love?
The new DGA hole.
Yeah. You and I both. So there's a backstory in college about those.
It's
maybe not.
The DGA hole, it started out as a joke, but ultimately, you know, when you came up with the idea and sold it to Scott Kesey, he was all over that.
Well, there's a few words that when you just mix them together, Scott quits listening and just says, "I'm all in."
Certainly.
DGA hole was one of them.
Correct. I mean, it's imagine like just like a hole in the ground, like this gorgeously crafted hole in the ground, sponsored by DGA, and it's the newest. And I'm hoping. I was a little disappointed that I wasn't able to get a prototype for my birthday. But I understand. I mean, the holes have to be dug, and they have to come from the distributor. I can't just demand a DGA hole.
No, but here's the question. When you talk now, I know someone like me. I've been an authorized dealer since like 90. I don't know, probably 98, 99.
Seriously, you're a DGA hole dealer?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I was not aware of that.
I don't know how else you think you've been getting your gum putts or your steady eds.
True.
Anyway, yeah, we'll have to expand on that. I think there's going to be. I don't want to. I think schematics is kind of a fancy word for it. There's going to be some prototypes and I don't know, fancy marketing and brochures that they put out for them. And then I think we're going to be able to talk more about them on the show in future weeks. And maybe we get Kesey.
I hope we can get Scott on. My favorite, though, is the tagline. DGA hole. I dig it. I believe that came straight from Tyler Brickley.
It sounds like something he'd say. I can dig it. I know Mike Barnett, who's very, very closely tied. The question is, I think back to years ago, working with Mike Barnett, working with Sun King, Discraft, DGA, kind of that whole family. It felt like anytime Mike wanted to agree with you, it was always, yeah, I can dig it. And at some point, they probably just had to like buy out the phrase from him so that they could trademark it and associate it with the DGA hole. I can dig it.
I can dig it.
And you know what they used to say is, can you dig it?
We can dig it.
Can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
Anyway, that'll all come in due time, folks.
Yeah, stay tuned to this channel and other channels for more information on the DGA hole.
Okay. Will that exclusively have to be during after shows, or do you feel like that could be a feature piece?
That could be a feature piece.
Okay.
I'm curious to see exactly the different sizes of the DGA hole.
Do you know what the largest is? Off the top of your head?
The largest DGA hole? No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I'm not spoiling it for the rest of the world.
Okay. All right.
You guys will have to tune in next week. All right. Anything else exciting that comes in from the world of disc golf or beyond?
I don't believe so. I think we've, as we say, I believe we've covered the sport this week.
You got any manhole covers for your
Definitely
DGA
not.
holes?
No, definitely not. Stay tuned to DGN. I know they are expanding their footprint and their podcast network. If you stay tuned, I think there's going to be an announcement shortly from some good friends of ours.
Okay. In other sort of not unofficial announcement news, I was informed by none other than PDGA 1276. That's Tom McManus. Tonight he sent me a number just out of the blue because he sends me weird numbers. I don't know if they're his medications or his prescriptions. I don't know what they're for. No, but he sent me the number 170483. And naturally, I had assumed, I said, nice, is that the latest PDGA number issued? And he said, yes, that's crazy.
176?
No, 170483.
170.
That's incredible. Wow.
Sam Martin asks, are the DGN podcasts going to be available on podcast apps? I don't believe so. I don't think they've found a really good way to put them on podcast apps and make them and still keep them behind the DGN exclusivity wall. Personally, I think that's a bad idea. I think they should be available as a podcasting service as well. And then just make them time release them. So they come out on DGN, and then a week later they come out everywhere else. That would be my preference. I don't know of any other way. I think there are private streams and private apps you can get, but there is obviously a DGN app that you can download and watch it, but it is not coming out on regular podcast apps as far as I know, which makes it a little more inconvenient for everybody.
You know, I feel like we could tie a few themes together. You're just talking about some exclusivity. You're talking about paywalls. Earlier, we were talking about someone frustrated that the fans can't be there. Hello, we marry the two. DGPT fans only account.
Fans only or only fans?
You call it whatever you want, but I like fans only. It ties them. It perfectly ties everything you guys need together. Right.
What would you want to see on a DGA fans only app? Or a DGPT fans only app? Either one.
I'd start with the DGA holes.
Of course.
And then from there, I feel like I don't know. First thing I would do is I'd think about branding. Skulls.
Yin Yangs.
Yin Yangs. Wings.
And hypercolor.
Yes. That's where it is. That's where it goes, folks. Sam says, why not the way SmashBoxx does with the personal RSS feed?
The personal RSS feed is a Patreon thing. I think that would be cool. So someone could just get that personal RSS feed. And again, or as someone put it on there, I would like to see it where they release it, but throw a bunch of ads in there. Not a bunch, but throw some ads in there every 15 minutes or something, depending on how long the podcast is. And then DGN subscribers find a way to get an ad-free version. That could work as well.
Okay. I like it. Terry would sub to Kale's DGPT OnlyFans.
I've been lobbying for it, actually.
I wouldn't need to sub when I'm already running that one.
Awkward.
I have special Kale inroads.
We've known Kale for a long time.
Yeah, all you little local I've got a man crush on Kale. Get in line, all right? Johnny and I have known that guy for way longer than you have. We've shared some moments, and let's just say, get in line. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, guys, we're going to call it before this thing gets too sideways or off the rails, actually. But it has been fun. We see so many of our regulars out there, Tyler Brickley and friends, jumping in, trying to win that. You have to assume he just has a DGA credit card, right? That's how he just keeps pumping through all of our super chats, but we do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight. Ryan Pilcher, Ray, Tim, Sam, so many of the regulars, like we said, the Garners out there, Elijah, all of you, Keith, who went 9 eyes earlier. But thank you guys for being here. We're going to cut it for Johnny V, who's getting old, the old ripe age of 43. Please stay tuned this week for, of course, the Throw Down the Mountain coverage. Stay tuned. We've got the national tour kicking off with some sweet, sweet action, 3 days of live broadcasting. And then we'll be back here, of course, next Tuesday night for number 343 in one way or another. For Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.